Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I'm your host, Dr. Jefferson. And, this is the platform where we have accountability conversations around topics that affect either indirectly or directly the Black and the Brown community here in America, whether those, particular topics are from things that are happening in the United States or outside of the United States or collectively around the globe or whatever we want to call it or refer to it. But we're going to have those conversations around accountability today. Today is a really interesting conversation. I think that I have kind of maybe talked in a roundabout way to some of the content that we'll talk about today. But specifically, Nick Cannon. How many of you are aware of his new methodology for becoming a father? Nick Cannon has he's compared himself to a seahorse. It's interesting to me. I thought that was really interesting. But the most interesting thing I think in all of this discussion around Nick Cannon and his methodology around what he's doing and becoming baby daddy and all that good stuff, people in the Black community had a very similar conversation. Hey Lawrence, how are you doing? A very similar conversation about Kiki Wyatt. What's wrong with Black people in judging how many babies people have? By the way, before we get this conversation started today, I'm going to need to kind of disclose a couple of biases. Okay. I am a woman who, before becoming wed with my husband, before we became in sync with one another, I ain't want no kids. Okay. I'm a no kid rule kind of person. That's that was just me, and essentially, maybe that's kind of like the energy that I maintained over the course of even becoming a parent. But there is something about the becoming process of being a parent, I think that even changed me. I'm a mother of 11, believe it or not. So, what can I say? Nick Cannon, come on, baby, catch up. So, let's have this conversation, you guys. I think that it's definitely high time we start having the difficult conversations around parenting and what that looks like, and the terms baby daddy, baby mama. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay? Okay? Baby daddy and baby mama are terms that have been coined by and associated with the Black experience in America. You guys are a whole mood. So, we're going to have this discussion, and I want you guys to bring in your insights, your comments, your feelings, your ideas, whatever you think is relevant to the conversation. So let's talk about it. Um, One of the questions that has come up in recent, you know, emails from people to me about Nick Cannon is like, do you think that he's sane? Do you think he's sane? I want to know why any of you would think that he's insane for having all these kids. Um, what does it say about his sanity or lack thereof? Him becoming a father. Also, I thought that was a very interesting thing that was noted by the people who have covered these various stories about Nick Cannon and his journey to multi fatherhood. I think that you would definitely, we're going to create a term. We're going to do that because it's necessary. Multi fatherhood, Nick Cannon. I love it. I love it. Nick Cannon gives a whole new perception on male sexuality. Hmm. How many other sex therapists out there are really looking at this like, huh? So, anywho, I want to say this. If we're going to be people who say that Nick Cannon is crazy, he's out of his mind for going out here, creating all these kids and making it a thing. Nick Cannon at least takes accountability for his creating all these kids. He's not like a baby daddy out there like who's somebody that has a bunch of kids in popular media, but it's like questionable whether or not those are his kids. Or like 50 Cent. We'll talk about him. Jay Z. Jay Z. Jay Z. So Nick Cannon is not a person like this guy. He's not a guy like Future. None of those, It's a lot of guys out here that have kids by a lot of different women, and at the end of the day, they're like, it ain't my baby, knowing that they laid with the woman without a condom, and how do you say, shot off or something inside of her? Whatever. So you know that there is a high chance that this child is yours, and then you walk away and you have 100% sound mind, body, spirit, I guess. I don't know. Whatever you guys call it. You're okay with that. You're able to sleep every night, not losing any sleep, none of that good stuff. But then when you see a guy taking accountability, like, you know what, these are my kids, and I'm going to make sure that my kids are okay, that's a problem. It's a problem because he's not marrying them and having kids. Okay. Now, we saw him marry and have kids with Mariah. That was a problem too. I don't know how many of you guys are watching, but if I'm Nick Cannon right now, I'm losing my damn mind because I can't satisfy this black culture that is following me. Because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. He got married to a woman, and you guys called her a non black woman because she has one black parent and one white parent. I don't understand that. Hey, Joy, what's going on? So now when he goes out here and he has kids with a black woman, white woman, with every woman, whatever I don't understand. I love it, but I just don't get it. But it's interesting to me, okay? Now that he's going out here making all these babies with all these different baby mamas, he's just basically trying to find out whether or not, it's going to be sufficient for you black people that are following him and judging him, I guess. I don't know, because it makes sense to me. So he goes out and he does this, and now you guys are calling him insane. So he was insane when he had kids in wedlock. His first kids in wedlock. Their first kids together. He's even more insane now that he's having kids out of wedlock and doing the multitude dad thing. Make it make sense for me. So I want to pull up a story, okay? And we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna read this story together, and we're gonna have conversations around you judgy folks and y'all mindsets around Nick Cannon having all these kids. By the way, does everybody still have the same energy they had about Kiki Wyatt? And it was interesting to me that there were so many clinicians, female clinicians, that had a problem with Kiki Wyatt having all those kids with her husband and things like that. Some of the things they said. One of the things that we're going to talk today about is the fact that some people who have children, they try to redefine self or initially define self through the act of parenthood, procreation. Sometimes that does help us to kind of bring ourselves in sync with who we are becoming in the various stages of our development. But come on, let's have this discussion. Let's look at some of this, okay? This is one of the baby mamas. She's not black. Nope. Mm-mm. Not at all. Can't satisfy you black people. So wait, we're gonna find a black one. In the meantime, while I'm trying to find a black baby mama, I want you guys to say hello to the official urban therapist.
Hello, everybody. How you doing this evening? Happy Sunday.
Oh, happy Sunday to you too. So I can't find. Oh man, this ain't the article with all of them. Hold on, I gotta go to the one with all of them. But first, let's take a look at this one because I think that she's baby mama number 7, the seventh baby. Don't be reacting like that. My producer's over here like, good God, that's a lot, sir.
Yep,
sir.
yeah, producer. Don't be hating on Nick. He just trying to be great, trying to spread his loins around the whole entire world.
Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater. He's just trying to make sure that his legacy lines are intact.
Hmm.
Okay, so you guys got a Kevin Samuels out here telling black men not to go get married, hence don't have children by nobody unless they're a sex worker or escort. Okay. Y'all got a problem with that. And then y'all got a man over here who is a high earning, high value male who is like, you know what? Nothing happens by incident. Come over here. Let me have sex with you. Let me put my penis inside of you. If it yields a baby, and it can, but also it can't. If it does, it's not a mistake. It was meant. It was meant to be. That's his philosophy. Can you believe it?
Well, I don't think Nick is that naive where he just picking any random chicken just decide to nut up in on me and there we have it. Think it's some type of agreement that goes on. Like they probably date for a period of time, maybe the 90-day rules, probably longer than that. And then he finally like, hey, think you hot.
No, he got all of them pregnant around the same time. You're not paying attention to the timeline. Groupie syndrome. Like, are you okay with me going in here and us being free, baby? Like back in the, you know, in the 70s. You want to
So
move, girl?
yeah, yeah, he just yeah, Nick just trying to be a Rolling Stone, but
Oh
for our
yeah, oh
generation,
yeah, something of the sort.
yeah, let that man be great.
You
He
know.
got the money to do it for right now, so why not?
But he got a lot going. He said it ain't no accident. Okay. So there he opened up to the city girls. God, these city girls are getting around, aren't they? About his expanding family. The Act Up rappers dropped by to talk about their latest music video. I guess that's what they're doing. City Girls rapper JT jokingly advised that Cannon should wrap it up in order to protect himself from unwanted pregnancies. He says, "Trust me, there's a lot of people I could have gotten pregnant that I didn't." Oh man, I told you about his philosophy. The ones that got pregnant are the ones that we're supposed to get pregnant. You only live once.
Yeah, exactly. See, he was choosing who he wanted to impregnate. It wasn't just so random
No,
chick that he wanted to
well,
shoot up the club with.
This is telling us that essentially he out here playing Russian roulette. What are we doing? Some women treat babies like stocks. That's why they don't care as long as the man has money. You know what, Ref? You might be right, spot on with that comment. Mm. So he's saying, basically, it's a lot of people that he could have got pregnant because he been shooting the club up for quite some time here. And apparently, he's managed to not get the wrong people pregnant. So he said no. He's saying the ones that got pregnant were meant to get pregnant by him because they were meant their energy. I love it. He's a free spirit. I'm a free spirit too. Until it comes to some kids.
See, they go back to my theory that he was choosing to impregnate them women. He like, hey, you look good. You back that thing up, very nice for me. And now our energy aligns, so it's gonna
Time for this
consummate
baby.
this thing. Yeah.
Oh God. Cannon welcomed his seventh child, Zen. These names are everything for me. That tells me that he literally is really focusing on spirituality. He may be a little bit too focused, but okay. With Alyssa Scott, I don't know who she is. I guess that's the chick down there, okay? On June 23rd. Oh, just a week earlier, he welcomed twins Zion Mixolydian. Not even sure what that is. And Zillan with Abby De La Rosa. So she has a regular name. He has a regular name. We're gonna go and make these kids a regular name. And this is great. It's great. In December, his second child with Brittany Bell. Oh, they had another one. Oh, man. He must have some seriously great penis. Just gotta say, I gotta put it out there. I gotta put it out there. Yet those women will act as if
So
they're
that's Nick Cannon. That's Drumline, Mr. Drumline, Mr.
man.
Wilder now.
Listen, he. Hmm, I don't know. Like I'm saying, you're not about to have one baby with him. Then he already got twins out here with his ex-wife, and then he out
So
here in these streets with all these different women, and then you go back and have unprotected sex with him. That must be like the best penis that is on this face of the planet.
so question. Um, does this make Kevin Samuel high value theory accurate in this situation?
Shit. I think Kevin Value's high value man theory goes out the window altogether. Why? Nick Cannon was a high value man before he met Mariah Carey. And just in case you didn't know, Mariah is older, quite quite seasoned, and definitely overweight, just in case you guys didn't know. She's overweight based on the standards in which Kevin Samuels maintains. Said penis doesn't matter. It's about money in Hollywood. Okay, so ref, let me tell you something, okay? Even though women love the money, this one lady, she has a baby. I would be able to get behind you if they didn't have that second child together, okay? She's given him a second child after he has all these other illegitimate kids out here in these streets. And she still has no ring, none of that. So what that tells me is that we talking about penis value here. We're not talking about financial value. I just need you guys to understand. Pull up a seat. This man right here, somebody might be wanting to take some notes. Where's the sex tape? We could see
Mm.
Ray J and Kim Kardashian. What's going on with this one?
So Dr. J, you don't think that money also plays a role, but besides
I
the great
think
sex game?
I think money played a role initially, but this young lady that gave him this second child, that's just good sex. 155%. Even considering the way that Mariah left her marriage with him. Young sir might have some formidable penis, maybe some mouth lip skills too. I don't know, but I know one thing. I don't want none of that. If it makes you want to become a baby mama, good God, that is crazy. So let's talk about this. How many women is it? 4 women at the same time pregnant?
For as I know of.
Let's see. Brittany Bell, powerful queen, is who what they named the baby. Man, Brittany Bell and he have 2 kids together. Okay, that's the one I was talking about. That's the really cute black girl that nobody talked about because he still didn't make America happy by getting her pregnant. I'm just saying. Just saying. So I'm speaking from experience about my grandfather. He had money, lots of women and kids. Well, you know what? And that let's think about it. If he didn't have money, she would have never been with him in the first place. I agree. I agree, Jermaine. So I say in the beginning it's about the money. And then after that it becomes about the sex cuz at the end of the day she's not going to get any more money from him than she was already getting cuz they have a kid. Their kid what how old is he, like 7 or 8 now? Their first kid. I know he
Uh,
plays soccer. But that
I
kid's
think
like 7 or
I
8
think
years old.
7. I
Yeah,
think 7.
he's never been put on child support. He's always been a very present dad. Um He's like America's model father. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. So let's see. Don't talk about Bill Cosby. Don't do it. Don't do that. What's wrong with you? My producer needs to get a show of his own. I will not have him poisoning the minds and the hearts of my followers on this channel. I will not talk about Bill Cosby in the same light that I talk about Nick Cannon, who is not out here drugging these ladies for the sake of them making his babies.
Well, technically he is.
What do you think Nick Cannon is giving these women?
Great sex. That's a drug. It could be a drug.
Sex can be a drug. That's true. That's true. That's true. So the interesting thing about Nick Cannon, you guys, is that I don't know where he's getting all of this energy. He definitely has what we call lupus nephritis. So what that is like it's a kidney disease related to lupus. You know, lupus, for those of you who don't know, is an inflammatory disease. And so what typically happens is it decreases the male libido. So of course she can get more money. What about the NFL player who have a lot of children? Which one? Who's the one with a bunch of kids? Because we're talking about in a small amount of time, too. Yeah, because it's not like dude went from like 3 kids to 7 kids in 4 months. What's happening? That's really what it's about. Yeah. Let me see. Let me share this other article with you guys so we can go back and look at these little babies, right? And so, because this article right here does a job at summarizing, because it's a lot for us to keep up with here. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I know we haven't got to this part of the show yet, but why not? It is the bigger question is why these women ain't marriage material? Why they just only baby mamas status and that's it?
I got one for that. I really think that I figured out. And considering his entire around a parent, becoming a father, like I think I got that figured out because he is not what we would consider to be a pop culture guy now. He's more of a spiritualist and he thinks and moves like a spiritualist. Oftentimes you hear spiritualists talk about, well, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's going to be. Because essentially it's about the stars, the moon, the sun being in a perfect alignment and the spirits colliding at the perfect time and then the energies producing fruit. Because if you're not meant to produce fruit together, you will not. So a lot of people, as a sex therapist, we see all types of clients, okay? And one of my specialties is spiritual synchrony, so tantra. I talked a little bit about it when I talked about the sex therapy talks and things like that. But with tantra, I've helped people learn how to tether their spirits on the proper alignment to be able to conceive because they've gone to fertility doctors for years and still got no results. And the fertility doctors typically refer to me. So does it have validity? Yes. That's what I'm telling you. So it's interesting to me that Nick Cannon is allowing his seeds to be planted wherever they will be planted in order for him to get whatever outcome is meant for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look. Who are the mothers of Nick Cannon's children? Mariah Carey, whom he was married to from 2008 to 2016, is the mother of the twins, Monroe and Moroccan Scott. Then we have Brittany Bell. That's the girl that was his girlfriend when all the craziness was happening, okay? Hey, Stranger Talk Live, what's going on?
Hey, what else, stranger talk?
So she's now the mom of Golden Golden Sagon. Good God. And powerful queen. Golden is the one that plays the soccer. Okay. Abby De La Rosa. She's currently his partner. Okay. His partner, life partner. And she's the mother of his twins born June 14th. Okay. And then we have Alyssa Scott, the model who appeared on his music game show, Wild and Out. And you see, they gave birth to these kids a week apart. Yep. No. That was, yeah. That's a week apart. A solid
Yep,
week apart.
yep. The stars was aligned on that one.
Yeah. So literally, it's possible that maybe he had an orgy with all three of them at the same time. I'm not implying anything, you guys. I'm just saying what's there.
Yeah,
So
for them to be ovulating at the same moment of time, then that's highly possible.
had to, because the moon will bring people, manifestation moons or new moons, if you guys go back and look,
Hmm.
they will bring into alignment the hearts and minds of people, but also the energy of those people involved. So it's very possible that this was a whole thing. And then you got to look at how, graceful these women are doing this thing. You don't see any craziness, no baby mama drama, none of that stuff. Even Mariah Carey, she's like, whatever, got my own thing going. So let's look at this. Let's look at it. Okay.
Don't the African deity Sean also deal with fertility as well?
Yeah. They do have African fertility specialists, shamans, and things like that, but they have to actually give you particular herbs and stuff like that. With spirituality work that is in alignment with mantras and tantras, we do crystal elemental work. So like the moon stones and things like that. You understand? So manifestation moons and manifestation symbols and other stones, and it's a lot of things that go into what we do, but we don't have to give you anything to absorb orally. Everything's about spiritual synchrony, 100%, and it works. So this is Monroe, his
So
first
so I'm,
daughter.
I know we're talking about Nick Cannon, but I'm be kind of messy a little bit. So you since you're a sex therapist, do you be practicing these techniques as well?
Well, I have 11 kids. They didn't
Well,
just,
okay, let's get back to Nick then.
yeah. hmm it works. It works. Oh, isn't he so cute? But I mean, according to Kevin Samuels, Nick Cannon would definitely not have, selected Mariah Carey because she's obviously not, you know, what a high value man needs or desires. Oh, look at him. This one is the one that plays soccer. This guy.
I ain't gonna lie, that man do produce some beautiful seeds though.
Right. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It's no unfortunate kids that are coming about from this. So, okay, so this is the De La Rosa babies. And he taking care of her. Look at that. I bet that look at that plush robe and everything. She look comfortable. Good God. Seventh child. Hold on, I'm gonna get to y'all comments because he's just putting them up. Nick Cannon on condoms. Let's look at it. In a 2017 interview with Howard Stern that resurfaced amid the scrutiny of his offspring, Cannon offered his thoughts on condoms. He said, I might die in the morning. So why wear condoms? Told you. I look, I'm in alignment. This guy is, yeah, do it, Nick Cannon. Do it till you get it right. Just don't get AIDS or HIV or a combination thereof.
If he's aligning that with spirituality, then there's going to be a less probable chance that he'll
Exactly.
develop that.
As long as he keeps his spirit, his spiritual energy and chi in alignment, he will not. But
Hmm.
it's the moment it's in a disalignment, you're at risk.
Yep.
So there is a saying, right? For people who are spiritual, you have to follow your spirit at all times, and at all times follow your spirit because your spirit will never lead you wrong. However, lots of people get greedy because at the end of the day, being a free spirit is not without its benefits, okay? Things are great. So you have to make sure that you remain in alignment with what it is your spirit intends for you and not what you selfishly want for yourself because it feels good. Does that make sense? So basically, what that means is you have to make sure that when you need to abstain for the manifestation moon to put inside of you what needs to be there for you to continue to walk in faith, right? That means you need to abstain. Some people call it fasting, but it is
Yep.
what it is.
Yeah. It's same as that thing. No difference.
Mm-hmm. So let's switch the conversation to Kiki White. But before we do that, let's go over there and let's look at some of your comments and see what you guys think because I definitely want to know what you're thinking over here. Let's go back to the top and roll the comments so I can see what's going on. I did. Okay. You could say that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it does.
Um, I mean, so far the only reason why he's getting all this notoriety about this going on because people typically talk about things that they don't understand and they try to correlate it to their personal life. Well, which you can't do that.
So I know Ray Lewis have a lot of kids. I don't know about who is Chromatic. I mean, I'm a football fan.
What's up, Rush?
He what? He don't pay for no damn New England Patriots. I never heard of him. I
Who?
don't know
Who y'all
unless
talking
in the
about?
last couple of years. Hey Casey, what's going on? It would feel unnatural to go against what? So do you think that for you guys, because y'all are regular people, right? Not a lot. Would you guys go with the intent of procreation in mind? Would you go out there and create this many kids born in the same year? Would you do that? Do you think that that is wise? And I'm going to have a conversation before I get to Kiki Wyatt. I want to talk to men about this because the thing is, this says a lot about where the minds of our men are today. Because if you think about it on a larger scale where we're trying to gauge a man's perception around his legacy, your legacy lies within your procreation. Okay. Essentially, yes, the imprint that you leave on this world is going to be huge, but it will die. It will die because people who follow you will follow somebody else. So, for example, if we had to talk about Kevin Samuels and his children and his legacy lines that he's currently leaving, right? If his children have no relationship with him and have no, intent to have a relationship with him, when he dies, so does his legacy. And eventually people will forget him. Though the internet is seemingly forever, many laws will be created because guess what? Even though this is the land and the home of the free and the brave and all that great stuff in America, we're coming up with more laws to suppress freedom of speech than not. So essentially, everything that is currently acceptable, eventually it's going to be taken down and suppressed. So people will forget about who he was, what he stood for, why he stood that way, and all that good stuff. And he's going to die, and so will his legacy. So, as he tells us women, go and die alone with a dog, but he won't have the dog. So, you said the spirit, and it's passed for those who accept the ancestors' guide to universal law. That's what I meant. Yes, yes, definitely. I knew that though when I answered your question. But so when you say that you don't want to have kids and you're not really up for having children, it says that you're not really up for having a legacy that's going to be long standing, you know and impactful. Hi, Big Kane, how are you? um so my question is for guys, do you guys think that what Nick Cannon is doing is dangerous? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's him stepping into accepting his greater purpose in life spiritually to become a father? I, there was some. Let's look at. Let me see. His reference says if you can financially support them without going in debt. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I definitely say that that's something that you need to take into account because essentially you want to make sure that you're able to support them financially. However, I have to say this. Wealth is something that I speak to more so than financial stability in the here and now, because wealth is something that will keep you continuously leaving something for those people who are left to carry on your legacy. And so it's about properly investing your money and your time and attention into the things that are necessary for you to make sure that you acquire wealth over the course of your life. And then it continues in your legacy lines when you're gone.
So Doctor, is Nick Canon relationship, is that considered as a polylanguage relationship?
You said what happened? I didn't hear you.
Is is his relationship considered as polylanguage? And is I'm saying that correctly?
Polyamorous.
Yeah,
Yes,
polylanguage.
it is considered to be a polyamorous relationship, and there isn't a lot known right now about the current dynamic. So I can't really speak to what the dynamics of his poly is, but in polyamorous relationship, there are about 17 main constructs of structure, and that's like a whole two three different shows if I were to get into that. But when I teach people about polyamorous relationships and when they decide to go poly instead of moving away from pop culture and western society with this non-monogamous committed relationship thing, when they make that decision, it's important to know all the different structures and then talk about what the dynamics look like within those structures to figure out where they lie. If we were looking at this picture just for what it seems to be right now, it's possible that what Nick Cannon has is what's considered to be a solo poly. And a solo poly is very similar to what we see in polygamous relationships. And the only reason I say that in that comparison is because some polygamous relationships prefer a solo poly versus the dynamic with fluid communication that is considered to be a V, but a V can be inclusive of several different partners. So, what that looks like is that you have one centralized member who is responsible for making all the decisions, everything goes through them, and the other members, the other people, have individual committed relationships to only that one person. So, they don't go out and have sex with anybody else, right? They don't make any financial decisions with anybody else either. The main thing is those lines of communication when it comes to making decisions and when it comes to weighing opinions and things like that only goes through that primary member. So they don't talk to each other unless in the same space at the same time by this person say so. Does that make sense? So that's what it looks like now because I've not seen a lot of interactions between the baby mamas, and it's a beautiful thing. It's what
It-
typically um blended families start off as.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if that dynamic is working out for them, then there's no I don't see no problem with it, as long as everything's in line up. Well, where you're speaking about this wealth period is lining up with the relationships, then it is what it is. Now if it was me personally trying to do something like that, um, I don't know. Let's be honest about it. I have no idea.
Antonio Cromartie.
The closest thing that I have going on is that's pretty much a blended family, and that's it. But other than that,
You might as
mm,
well. Blended family dynamics are kind of the same with blended families. I know a lot of people think that they're a part of pop culture relationships, but they're not. Oh man, and Cromartie was born in '84 too. Man, maybe it's something with these young guys now they're trying to make sure they don't die no time soon without leaving a legacy behind. Mm-hmm. Okay. But so, um, do you think that having a blended family prepares you for having a polyamorous relationship that is more intensive one day, like moving along the lines of poly?
it's tell me personally choosing that path.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's something that I choose to pursue, then they absolutely would, because it's the beginning of it. But I don't see myself having that mentality no time soon. But life things change. So, but I don't know. I highly doubt it.
Mm.
Only for the simple fact, and I'm just being transparent about it as well. Only for the simple fact that it's already not in a bad way, but it's already as tough enough as it is to put up with just one of you sisters. And I
I mean,
mean that I mean it in a very level way. It's
but that's
already
the
tough enough
thing.
to deal with just one.
It is difficult, but the thing about what I find in polyamorous relationships is that people oftentimes are happier and it's less stress also on the male. So I'm looking at the story of this Antonio Cromartie guy. Now I'm gonna share that. But so what do you guys think? Do you think that there is a increasing amount of men who are afraid to die without a legacy? Are you guys afraid to die without a legacy? Like, do you guys think about what will happen, when I'm no longer here? Like, any dudes have those conversations yet? Like, are you guys in the midlife crisis mode yet or no? Because that's what happens when you go through midlife crisis, just to let you know. So
But I so your producer need to be on the camera. He need to jump on the panel.
I know. I tell him that all the time, but he likes to sit back and chill and look at me. Creep,
And click.
creep, okay? Like, and I thought it was, look, I found it creepy a bit when one of my followers on one of my social media, I think Instagram, he was like, "Did you make me want to stalk you and jump your bones?" I was like, one of my kids saw the comment and like and showed it to my other son. He was like, "What kind of creep is that? Like, what's wrong with him?" So, what is jumping your bones, mom? What does that mean? I'm like, I don't know.
But now, me personally, I thought about that too, and that was one of my bigger reasons why I wanted to have children at my younger age, is because I wanted to leave my legacy behind, because I know I'm not gonna be on this plane of existence forever, but I want my legacy to continue on. So wherever one seed I sow into them, wherever wealth I sow into them, I wanted it to continue.
Mm. So he even had 4 kids after a vasectomy. Yeah, I remember my husband and I, we got pregnant. The look on my face when I was like, wait, what? No, nay, nay. Like, I'm not pregnant. That's against the law. Somebody else is getting sued then. That's just what it is. Like, no. Who's having the babies? I'm not having them. It's like, well, it's inside of you. I just think that life is short. Then you die. Like, I don't know. But I think it's a good thing that this guy is, you know, I think that he's an ideal black excellence. I don't know. I think that a lot of people are saying that it's a bad thing for black men to have multiple kids. But I see so many mixed messages coming from the black community. When somebody has a bunch of kids and they can afford those kids and they're properly raising these kids, I feel sorry for these kids being raised with these other kids that are raised in society where the moms are in the strip club and in the airports fighting and stuff like that, and the kids are witness it. I feel sorry for these kids having to pick a mate from those, you know what I mean, in the future.
Yeah, are the ones who are bitter,
Mm-hmm.
and won't allow the fathers to be active in their life, then portraying the role as though every man is crap, but it was just the man that they choose in that sense.
He said if life is short, that's why you need to have a lot of kids.
Yeah, yeah, Jermaine, shoot it up, bro. You need to leave
Mm-mm.
your legacy behind.
They have a beautiful family, though. I mean, they got more
If
kids than me. And I never thought I'd see. I've given birth to 15, but I have 11 living. So I don't think I've ever seen anybody that have as many kids as us.
hmm yeah, that's what I did too. When I had my first son, think I was 23 or 24, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we have to have family meetings to look at that. That is so cute, though. Look at them. Look at them all getting. Oh, God. Why they have two jerseys? Just spelled two different ways. Like, what are we doing? Jagger. That okay, they went through the J phase.
Is Rush still on here? Cause Rush he need to go and shut up the club too. Get him a son.
Mm-mm.
If
Russ
if
is
he
not
if
having any more kids.
Yeah, if he get a son or a daughter, I guarantee that his whole perception will change about life, because he's gonna see it differently.
So this person said, "Can you imagine what life is like at the Cromartie House during coronavirus pandemic and COVID-19 outbreak?" Believe it or not, I know a lot of people think that the more kids you have, the more noise there is and all that stuff. The reality is that's a fallacy. It's not true. Like it's quite quiet. You would never know that. You know what I'm saying? Like even when my kids are home, you never know that everybody's here. You
Yeah,
just
yeah, you tripping, Rush. Go have you a son, man, or a daughter. At least one. Shut up the club, at least one, bro.
no, I believe that Russ should never have kids. Jermaine says that wait, those are not all his children. There are more. Or I know when I saw it said 14. Saw it said 14, so he's out here. Yeah. Yeah. Stranger Talk Live says, I wanted more, just not by no any woman. Choosy lover. Exactly. You gotta be. You gotta be. I agree. It says, I planned my son when I was 25. I wanted a legacy with him and his mom. That's why he's the only one. What in the world? you just you planned a legacy of one with all the odds out there. Okay, like I gotta be honest. My grandparents had like 21, like,
Hey, Stranger Talk, I just follow your channel
Uncle
too, by
Jermaine.
the way. Yeah, I just followed it on YouTube.
I gotta go check out his channel too. I think I already followed it, but I gotta go check out the videos because now I know how to navigate YouTube. I was on um Money Boy Trey's thing and I learned how to like at somebody. I was so excited. That's sad. The internet is just the internet is not nice. This stuff is so complex. But I learned how to tag somebody in a comment. I was like, man, I am really making strides out here in these YouTube streets.
You
But
progressing.
yeah, fast too. Talking to you, the producer that is still learning how to use the computer. But no, see, that's why women be in competition with men right there. Y'all childish. I'm just playing. Oh God. But no, like seriously, I think that we've gone away from the days where it was normative for us to have many kids. And the crazy thing is, we blame that on financial stability. And to be honest with you, that's just an excuse. Because back in the day, when before government assistance became a thing and all that good stuff, and people worked really hard for, maintaining their lives and making sure their livelihood was abundant, these families had multiple kids, okay? And their reasons for having these multiple kids was legacy lines, a guarantee that your legacy will live on and that you will continue to live on not only in the hearts and minds of people, but also in the lineage, the blood of others long after you. So the more kids you have, the more probable your legacy will continue on for a length of time because things happen and people die. Says I'll be putting up more content soon. Those were all trial runs. I'm getting to it. Thanks again.
Oh yeah, respect, bro. As soon as you put some more content out there, I'll be watching it. Then whenever you do like a panel like we doing, yeah, I'm pretty sure me and Dr. J will pull up too.
Yeah, we'll definitely pull up and, get you some viral content, but don't like go too viral with it. You know what I mean? I've been known to say a couple of things, but no, I just feel like, sometimes we got to bring it home and we got to say, okay, like what for us as the black people, right? We say there's a problem with becoming a baby mama. We say there's a problem with becoming a baby daddy. But then when people are married and having kids, it's also a problem. If they have too many kids, there's a problem. Hear me, too many kids. And the thing is, how can you determine whether or not a person has too many kids? I talked to you guys earlier about us going to and having a conversation around people re-identifying themselves through their children, through birth, through having kids. So we're gonna have that. Jermaine says condom and birth control pills is also a cause of a lot of STDs and STIs. I agree. I
Hmm.
agree.
Now
My professional
did
opinion.
that
Yes.
now did that movie started in the '90s where we start having like movies and stuff that portraying the role that hey, if a woman get pregnant, this is such a horrible thing to do. You don't want to do. Then they also was encouraging the males to do that as well. Like, no, if you get a woman pregnant, you won't be able to go to college. You're gonna have to settle for this. You're gonna have to settle for that. And so, um, if you do have kids, try at least have one, maybe two. If you push them more than two, then you looking like a HOE in these streets.
Yeah, that was actually in the late 80s. That
Okay,
picture
yeah.
started being painted in the late 80s. I think it was 88, 87,
Hmm.
88. But also, to be honest, it's crazy because they started to paint that picture, and at the same time, you saw an abundance of baby mamas, abundance of baby daddies. Because guess what? If there's baby mamas, there's baby daddies. And I don't know why on Kevin Samuel's channel he talks about women not being able to handle the truth, but the reality is men have a problem with handling harsh truths. If women out here have multiple baby daddies, what does that say about men? Women can't become baby mamas by themselves. They can't. They just can't. So if you're not putting your penis inside of me and impregnating me, right? I can't become a baby mama. I just can't. So I think that we got to do a better job at taking accountability. So when we say that young women are bad, right? For having all these kids by all these different baby daddies, and then we have conversations and we glorify somebody like Nick Cannon for becoming a dad to all these women, all these different women, and he's a high value man. I think it's time for Kevin Samuels to now reposition himself. I
Oh,
just
what up,
can't.
money boy?
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think that Nick Cannon is re-identifying himself through his legacy lines, through having these children? Because I don't know if you guys paid attention to the picture that I put up of him after he had his first set of twins with Mariah. I don't know how many of you really sat with how he felt after becoming a father and things like that. But a lot of the things that he said during that time speaks to the fact that he really felt whole after becoming a father. So maybe this is becoming his identity, no?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
He's married to the truth, and that's his legacy. That's his link to life, having purpose. He wants them truth.
Hmm.
You know, so
What do you think the
Well,
official answer
it's
there?
well, I think it's part of the same coin. I believe in what the producer is saying. That's true, but
You can't
also,
agree with the producer. Nobody can.
yeah, I can, and I will.
You
He
can't.
doing this thing
Rules
back
of the
there.
show. Look. Let me do like Tanya TKO. Rules of the show. I'm like,
If you're not following the rules of the show, I'm gonna block you.
right. It's a block party. What? I'm just. Oh my god! I just can't.
about to take over the
Kevin
show.
Samuels. Kevin Samuels lay out his rules. You cannot overtalk
The host.
the host. You cannot. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. I just can't. I just can't. But you want them to
Yep.
disagree with you. I'm with it.
But yeah, like I say the producer does not agree with him, but also I think that that's through his career and everything that he doing currently right now. And I think that's also solidifying his legacy as well on the personal and on the spiritual level and on the family level.
I mean, but what's Nick Cannon's net worth now? He's like a multi-billionaire. His net worth is through the roof. Like this guy
But
even
pull it
market.
up. Pull up his network real quick.
Let's look it up really quick. Because his I know is 10 million. This dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do Nick Cannon's net
He
worth.
ain't being a close to it. But he lived his best life. I ain't mad at him. He was like, without being married, be happy. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, but marriage is a lot of things.
That's why I said that might complicate his life.
Let's look at 2021.
You know, he tried it. And it
Let's
worked for
do.
him.
Can you guys see this on the share screen? Is it showing?
No, you'll have to. exit out of it, then go back
Exit
in
and
it again.
reshare this one. Okay.
Hmm.
Why they gotta make life so hard for me? Hmm. Mm.
Oh, that's his network.
2021. You know, he just had all them kids.
Ooh.
He was a billionaire last year. His net worth was a billion. He was in the billions last year. I told you guys, listen, we did a show. Children are what is it? Child support is a wealth killer. That's what's his name said? Boyce Watkins.
Hmm.
80 million. That's the most recent.
Oh, most recent.
Yeah.
That claim is $20 million off. $100 million.
Yeah. So
That's still up there.
I mean, it could increase though. His son is playing soccer, so let's see if he's really good at playing soccer. It's possible.
That's definitely going to increase.
Antonio Cromartie, his net worth is 10 million. Let's see.
I play invested, they can, that money never die.
I think that we just got to do a better job though. I think that when we say we want black fathers in the home and all of that good stuff, I think that we got to say, okay, well, what does that look like? He said God only had one child.
Yeah.
Look, God only had one child and told the rest of the world, be fruitful and multiply. I have created the blueprint for you to go forth and be great.
so
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 do
we so are we really gonna have this on Adam and Eve conversation again?
that. Yes. Mm, yes, we're doing it. Okay. Like I'm telling you, then isn't that what Tanya TKO, Cynthia G, and what's her name? What's that? Nyla speak?
Naya speak.
Yeah. Isn't that what they talked about? They talked about the Bible and the way that the Bible said that Tabitha was not supposed to retire her husband. Man, I'm telling you. But come on, let's come on over here and have this conversation. I don't want to make it one-sided. Let's talk about wonderful Kiki Wyatt. Let's see. They said she just had her 10th child. I thought
Yeah,
she was pregnant again though after that.
yeah, I agree with strangers talk on that. That it's very vital that got to have two parents in the home. But if they not able to be physically in the home together, then co-parenting will be the next best solution. As long as that keep going, then that's what's going to help the one legacy as well.
So do you think I think that there is somebody, I don't want to be how do I say, I don't want to make this sound terrible, but you guys know I really don't care what you think about, how I put things sometimes, but I don't
Nah,
want
I
to
don't
be the
care.
extremist black person and say it's the white man that's conditioning black people to not continue to, give birth to black lives, okay? So Kiki Wyatt, girl, look at
Kiki,
all those milk,
Kiki,
those boobs.
Kiki
Okay.
figure eight. Get your account flag showing her baby boobies, baby milk boobies.
I hate it when people sexualize breasts because like boobs are meant to sustain life in children. I had that conversation with one of my clients here recently too. So are you guys catching this? Y'all are reading this? I think she has what, three baby daddies? Does anybody remember? I think she has three baby daddies. So says wedded.
Um, well, you're gonna have to kind of catch me up with Kiki because I not to be honest, I really have been following her at all. This is really my first time actually hearing about Kiki.
So let's talk about it. Okay, she had this is her 10th kid she was pregnant with in January 2020.
Who is she? She a singer?
Yeah, yeah, she's a singer.
Oh, okay.
So she was married to this other guy, got divorced from him, then married this guy that she had another baby with. I just sometimes wonder, and I'm telling you, Kevin Samuels need to start looking at these women, looking at these women out here just disobeying all his rules. But so it says, this is from last year in January when she was had her baby. Um, says the singer and her husband Zachariah Daring welcomed their first child together. So the other nine kids. I guess he makes the fourth baby daddy. I'm not sure. Let's see. I mean, you laughing? It's not funny.
I've been saying what
You're.
you said.
Oh God, men are so. Huh? I'm just playing, but yeah.
You like, I guess they make it a fourth baby daddy. Like,
I
okay.
think so. The couple shared the wonderful news on Instagram. Wyatt posted a side by side photo bearing her pregnant baby on the left and handsome newborn on the right. Um, my husband Zachariah and I are blessed to welcome our beautiful, healthy 7 pound, 11 ounce son, Kiriah Daring. Good God. He came into our family on 1/6/2020. So off now, let me talk to this because a lot of clinical people, females, right, were saying this woman had a mental illness because she continues to have babies.
No.
I just did a video earlier today about the lack of competency among some black clinicians, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So I think that women in black culture have a serious issue when it comes to accepting other people's happiness looks different from theirs, okay? Especially when it's women who cannot bear children. I can say that because I bore a lot of kids apparently. But but no, the reality is this. I feel like sometimes there is some insecurity in women, and then you shame another woman because they are able to have kids and they find, I don't know, peace in giving life to another human being. There is something I will say that happens more so on an emotional level if the woman is 100% there for the birth of the child, and a spiritual level that happens to a woman in that moment. And it's amazing. I can't even describe it. And I've had all my kids natural. So for me, I think it's very important for you to be in that moment. But I will say that, a lot of people opt to use epidural and other painkillers and things like that that numb sensation, but also they numb your spirit when it comes to you experiencing what childbirth is really like. And I think it's beautiful for these families, whether they're black families or other families that continue to have babies and give life and support, right, life of their children coming up. I think that that's a huge component. I think somebody said that we've got to be people who support two parents being in the home. I totally agree with that because when we become people who support a supportive environment for children to frame proper behaviors, from, I think that that says a lot about how we care about our legacy lines. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to stay with the person that is obviously has become toxic for you. That means that sometimes you have to reposition yourself and accept the fact that in life, not every single type of relationship is meant to stay in its current course for a lifetime. And so you reposition yourself and you become co parents distally or, in close proximity, but in a blended capacity. So that means that you guys are deciding to be one joint parental whole line, but in doing so, you respect one another's opinions, thoughts, and all of that because it helps shapes who your children are becoming in their journey of becoming, especially when you talk about having multiple fathers or multiple mothers of the children in question, because you don't want your kids to have to feel split or different than their siblings, because that's what happens when you do the co-parenting from afar, typical Western culture relationship situation. Even though you think it's good that, okay, I'm getting my child and I'm spending time with my child, but that woman has another three kids at home. What do you really think you're doing for your child when you come and get them and take them away from their siblings that they've spent all week with? And they came from that same womb and they built the same level of intimate ties and affections for, and they relate to on an interpersonal level. What do you think you're doing for their personality stability when you take them away from the rest of their family and you say you're the most important component in my life and you're all that matter? Your mom, all those other kids, they're not mine, they don't matter to me, blah blah blah. You're not helping the sanity of those kids, the congruence of their personality development. You're not helping them, you're hindering them. And to be honest with you, even though parental alienation has now expanded to parents not supporting, regular communication with the non-custodial parent and things like that, I think that that should be something that's included as we continue to talk to the courts about what's important, as far as what we include in court orders when it comes to co-parenting and shared parenting time. You said that's why my woman called me baby because I love breasts.
What's stupid?
Dead.
Hey, shout out to Jermaine because he know because of the show. I love breasts too.
Oh my
Breasts and thighs, yum yum yum.
god. Mm-mm. Oh my god. Right. As long as they're two parents in their children's lives. Exactly. But so, I think that so right here they talk about Wyatt. She had recently revealed that one of her children had been battling cancer. And she, talked about her child lost the hair and then went for a crop blonde haircut in order to show solidarity with her baby because she cut all her hair off. Um, type of one in the chat if you guys think Kiki Wyatt is like super hot. This is some big
Super
shit.
hot,
Super hot mom.
as in what? Are you
Like
trying to?
you know, like her.
I'm sorry. You're trying to make us rate her like Kevin Samuels.
That's right. Her
Okay.
sexual marketplace
Yeah,
value.
her second much more play value. Okay, 7.
Man, that guy is gonna sue me over taking his talking points. Oh man, I can't. So Kevin Samuel says a woman's sexual marketplace value decreases as she becomes a mother, has more kids, and gets older. Who believes that
Yep.
that's true?
Yeah, he said 2 points automatically get taken away when we have one child. Have another child, another 2 points be taken away. So
I
forth,
guess
so
he gonna
forth.
learn today. He better look. He better straighten up and fly right, cause Kiki Wyatt, okay? Kiki Wyatt still getting them. She pulling them high value men. She is pulling them high value men, regardless of how
Yeah.
many baby daddies. They're like, add, put me in, coach.
But she's an artist, right? So she's not average though. She's not an average woman.
Yeah, as far as like how much she actually earns. Let me see if they got her.
Yeah, she's not average.
Well, some of these women who are earning into the six figures, like the woman that he had, two of the women he had on his show when he had Courtney. Did you watch it yesterday, last night? When was that? Kevin Samuel's show. When was that?
Oh, talking about the one he had on accordion on her. But was that last night?
Yeah, yeah, Courtney.
Yeah,
Says very
the
true.
Southern Belle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The world's
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
me.
I don't watch a lot of what's that? Lafif. That's the name of the show.
Yeah,
Y-
Lapeef.
Yeah, Beef. Yeah, I'm part of that group too. I make sure I join that group so I can see what they be talking about. Yes, I'm
You
part of that
doing it.
group
You
too.
go and you get the stuff and you tell me. How about that? Because
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
stomach it.
yeah, yeah. I'm an agent in that group right
Um,
now, and I joined
well,
as the official urban therapist too. Not
good
as
God.
my personal me.
Both straight to talk live, both looks and
but
mentality.
but Courtney, she as far as what I didn't observe about her, she do have a real cool demeanor though, as far as I
And
observe with her.
have you gone back and listened to some of her content prior to
Yeah, yeah,
stepping into pick me mentality?
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I
okay.
have. You know, I have.
So this is what I always tell people, okay? People are very manipulative. That's just the way people work. People will always be manipulative. They will always put on a mask and that they will always let you see what they want you to see for the duration that they want you to see it. And the interesting thing is that I want you to take a look at the way that Kevin Samuels responds and he handles this woman Courtney as he's trying to gauge why she's manipulating herself and maneuvering herself in situations with him the way that she is. But you can also see her doing the same dance with him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
the therapist in me. I'm just watching both of them do their dance with each other, and I'm like, this is
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, exactly. Then later on
Look at
during the
this
show,
video.
he boot Courtney off. Then he was talked to a regular woman on there, and then the energy does dramatically change.
Exactly. As if she's not going to be able to see this, but bring you back. And I think that he's playing with the audience. He's playing with viewers. I think he's playing with people that are viewing him and things like that. And says, "Where's the thumb down?" I found it. so you think so you think Kiki Wyatt is not hot? She's a not or a go?
You can't see her.
No, no, no. I want people to look at her entirety, like what she talks about and things like that.
That
I
ain't that
like
ain't that
I
ain't what.
know.
Look, that is not what the Godfather instructed us to do in the manosphere. He instructed us to look at the woman face only, without no makeup on, and rate her, not the whole entire package. That's
Okay.
what he said. That's what we're
But he
going by.
but no, because he just told the woman, man, did you guys see what he did with the young the old not said the young, but the older woman? God, that just feels awkward for me.
45.
Ah, was she 45 or 48? The dark skinned one.
No, I think it was 49.
She was 49, yeah.
Yeah.
To come out on the same show.
Yeah, it was on the same show.
The older one that was talking with Courtney, the
Yeah.
older lady.
No, 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 not that one. You're talking about the other pygmy. Look,
Because it was, yeah, it
and you
was,
guys understand. I'm only referring to them as a pygmy is because
yeah,
like I
yeah,
noticed
because
certain behaviors. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it was them two, right? Then after that, it was the one, the 31 or 35-year old that he had a full
After,
blown conversation.
I mean,
The one
before.
after that, yeah, that's why I stopped at, because I stopped at her because I got busy, started doing some stuff when we started engaging her in the conversation.
So there
That
was
yeah, that's
a
what,
39-year-old said regular women don't have money to do surgery. Okay, so I'm a regular woman, and I'm definitely older than all of the women that he had on this show the other night. I will say that, but I'm not, and I've done no work. I've done no work. I've had no work done cosmetically outside of the fact of having a pound or so of my butt removed. And that was due to me being shot in combat. And that's it. So, other than that, there has been nothing surgically done to me whatsoever. So it is what it is. Okay. All right. And the picture up there, that's my my picture thingy, is me with no makeup. So it is what it is. And it's within a year. So for me, what I feel what I feel is necessary when we talk about these conversations is that we have an authentic conversation about the fact that with Kevin Samuels, if a woman is not, if her face is unfortunate, now I will say the young lady that we're referring to, I think she was 49. She definitely looks like she's had a difficult life, and life can be hard for some people. Okay. However, based on his other standards, because he does talk about, okay, so how much do you weigh? How long have you been weighing that amount? What's your dress size? Why is he asking that stuff if it doesn't matter when he rates him?
Mm-hmm.
I think that she just wasn't cute to him, and so he was just saying to himself like, yeah, you're not going to get a high value man. Now let's talk about this. There are a lot of he said he said strong knot.
No, no, he said a strong knot. He put two knots in a knot is worse.
there see, I think that we miss the reality that, okay, when Kevin Samuels talks about weight, okay, there is a serious obesity problem in America. So it's not, and not just in America, there is an obesity problem worldwide right now due to the hormones in your foods. I'm going to say that again. It is due to the hormones in your foods. Say Android women have no place in the real man thoughts. What
He
is it?
called her an Android woman. That's cold.
You think Kiki Wyatt is made up? I didn't know that she had any words.
That's cold. So she like Verizon, huh? Hello on the boys, huh?
Uh,
Dang,
Only to that man she was.
dang, Jermaine. Wow.
I
Dang.
like that. I like that though, Android woman. I do. Jermaine, I'm gonna coin that term. I like that. I appreciate that. Right. Come on the panel, Jermaine. You're welcome.
Jermaine says she's like a phone. She got no bars. Dang.
Jermaine just made it as an official
Oh,
co-host.
signal.
But when we talk about when we put up Ref's comment about the weight of a woman. So when we talk about the weight crisis is across the board. It's not just women, it's men as well. And I think that when Kevin Samuels has these conversations, oftentimes he's having these conversations with women who are obviously, these things are not important. And I often hear him saying, oh, well, you weigh more than a man at your height. Anatomically, physiology, considering the physiology and the anatomy about a man and a man and a woman, a man is supposed to weigh more than a woman at the same height. That's normative. When we look at bones, right? When we're trying to figure out if bones are male or female, the physiology of a male is different than that of a woman. Okay, so we know that because the bone structure is heavier in a male than in a female. Also, the muscle mass is heavier in a male than that in a female, even though they have the same area, sometimes circumference, sometimes the male is going to weigh more, and that's a normative thing. Like that's a normative thing. But when you factor in the boobs, and that's only like a 5 to 10 pound difference. But if you factor in the boobs of a woman, the ass of a woman, and the hips of a woman, and these are things that typically, when we look at it proportionally, we're like, oh, that look good. Oh, I want that. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's do these videos. Let's video her ass shaking. But you don't know that that's a whole 20 pounds of ass back there. Like literally. literally weighed and taped down. I've Women can be 20 pounds overweight and tape within the standards. It's a thing. It's a thing. And still have a sufficient amount of what we call BMI. You know, so Kevin Samuels cannot compare a woman weighing more than a man and say, okay, well, yeah, that means that you're obese. Obesity in factors come into play when people's, like I told you guys before, make sure your top is not bigger than your bottom. When we start talking about health issues, it starts with your cholesterol, like I said. So when your waist starts to expand past the capacity of your hips and your legs going down, that becomes a huge issue. No, it's a worldwide problem.
Ain't the one smallest like that some genetic though with the smallest and they on weight?
Yeah, somewhat, but it's also it has a lot to do with their diet too. So when you talk about the small places having an obesity thing, it sometimes has to do with the way the climate balances itself out. So certain regions, people adapt to the regions in which they are, raised in. So if you notice that people up north tend to be heavier than the people down south. And that's how we also kind of attribute where a person comes from and where they were raised and things like that, because you have to have a certain amount of blubber, just like the other animals in those different spaces. That's how we know that you came from a warmer climate or a colder climate. But also food scarcity and the way that we provide for one another, even though you see that in America, that's where a lot of hormones are used mainly, doesn't mean that in other areas we don't struggle with obesity too. I'm Finnish American. So guess what? In Finland, there are a tremendous amount of people that are obese according to even current standards of BMI index charts provided by the CDC. In Africa, there are several people that are obese. In certain parts of Africa, however, that are less developed, you see the people that are not obese because there is a scarcity of food. Right. So if there is a scarcity of food, rations, and people don't have the muscle mass necessary to go out and hunt and gather food provisions for their family systems, and as a result they're starving, then you're going to see smaller people per se. But even then, they're not necessarily healthier because they're malnourished. They're not getting the basic nourishment that they need on a daily basis. So when we go out there and we're out there doing our I just can't. When we're doing our missions in Africa, we focus on healthy food rations. So making sure that people have the food that they need. So well, Africa is a very, very vast continent. So when you say you've been to Africa, you need to tell me what you mean by you've been to Africa. I mean, not only have I
Yeah,
been there, but
yeah. What parts
yeah,
Afro
I'm in
are you referring
constant
to?
communication. I have patients in Africa, and I'm in constant communication with other clinicians. I sit on the board there, so it depends on where you're talking about. For me, primarily, it's Ghana, Uganda, and Nigeria. Liberia as well. Some issues that are preventing us from connecting because they still have some ongoing um, hostile issues that are going on over there right now. But yeah, but those are the places that I frequent. Now, in Cameroon, Gabon, those kinds of places, the Congo, you see people smaller, but when you're in Cameroon, like right there, amidst everything, people are heavier because the food rations are, you know, in abundance for the most part. And there's a lot of people who have family that are over here sending money back there for them to continue to build up things. If we talk about what's happening in Kenya, even in Kenya, there are a large number of people who are overweight. Tanzania. So, I mean, These are just some of the places that for me, this is where I am when I'm there. But if you talk about South Africa and West Africa, some of those places that are less developed, those people for the most part are definitely going to be starving and they're going to be skinny, but that doesn't mean that they're healthy. So being skinny does not equate to being healthy. Nourishment is a necessary component. Okay, so be very specific. East Africa is that's a lot.
That's half of
I mean, you're talking about at least 75 different nations of Africa. There's 75 different countries. And that's a lot. That's a large span of developed Africa too. But yeah, but like I'm saying, it's based off of where you've gone, what your experiences are. And I mean, if you guys go to my business page and to some of the old videos that I posted here, there are several clinicians that are there now, that we still do different presentations on mental health and things like that together. And some of those clinicians feature what their villages look like. They feature what their cities look like and what their nations look like, because we do a lot of advocacy, we do a lot of work, and I donate a lot there. So for them, it depends on where you are. And it's still obesity is still a problem, because what we eat, how we eat, if you look at just cultural foods of Nigeria, fufu, it's carb city. Cholesterol, you're asking for cholesterol issues. And this is what they eat on a regular basis. Now, the peppers typically help to balance it out, but not a lot of people will eat the pepper. Well, the males do, but not the females, which is why that turns into a female obesity problem. And obesity, I have to say, by definition, means that you're overweight according to the height weight index. So, and growing food on your own does not solve the issue. It doesn't. It does solve the issue if you talk about the hormones issue and that just being the only thing. But sometimes overeating, overindulging, portion size, lack of exercise, those are things, and also health, right? So when your health starts to decline, when you start to get older in age and things like that, when you start suffering from hypothyroidism, when your metabolism starts to slow down and things like that, you do have a higher propensity to become obese because you're doing less. I mean, well, everybody is entitled to their opinions. Everybody is entitled to their opinions. When I talk about obesity, it's literally what the standard is. And the standard is height weight index. That's what we go off of. But so I think that when Kevin Samuels has these discussions, I think that he's not giving an adequate gauge for people. Okay. And so health, like I said, is definitely an issue and you should definitely approach it. But just approaching it based off of weight is not an accurate way to gauge, what it is that gives people vitality in their relationships longitudinally. When you tell people that a high value guy is a guy who makes a certain amount of money, and then you also equally go out there and you tell these women, okay, well, you need to make X amount of money so that you can provide half of what's needed for your household. That's not going to be a high value guy if she's looking for a guy to add value financially. I think that you have to be a person who universally understands that value is attributed to a person who can add value to a person's needs. So if I tell you that I want somebody that makes a certain amount of money, I'm not talking about their physical. And I think that there was a couple of girls on there. The girl that he was doing the review at the very beginning of that video. Do you remember that? She was like, well, I mean, I've smashed fat guys. think everybody's had the curiosity about having sex with a fat person, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. And there is this like long standing thing about fat guys, right? It's like if a guy's belly gets so big over time, he can no longer see his penis. And, if he can't see it, then how can he use it? I don't know. But
Is it what you women be talking about in the streets about fat
yeah,
dudes?
yeah, but she got it done. Apparently, I was hoping that she'd elaborate, and she didn't. But he kept cutting the damn video off because he got uncomfortable with the fact that the dude was actually not agreeing with him. After he had gone on his chest. Did you notice that? Like he was getting extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, I agree. The vertical positioning of your weight has a lot to do with health, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it's the other way around with men, because we just end of the day we say a woman as a woman. As long as you're a woman, you got a vagina down there. More likely we're gonna smash. No matter if you slim, thick, fat, wherever the dude preference is, they're just gonna go for it.
I'm gonna be honest though. I gotta admit, like it does matter a little bit because when you think about when you factor in sex and it's two fat people, I don't think it.
Yep. Yeah, once again, they're dealing with preference now, and I'm talking about men with their preference. If that dude is fat and he with a girl that's fat too, and they all sweaty together and having sex and stuff, that's their preference.
Not sweaty, but no, I mean like you can have the
sweaty
preference.
fat off here.
A woman doesn't even have to necessarily be fat, so a woman can be obese or overweight and still not be what we call chronically obese. Okay. So, and I had that conversation too. Chronic obesity is when you are way overweight, way overweight. So, we're talking about 60 to 100 pounds overweight. And oftentimes you can't bend over to tie your shoe. You definitely don't see your parts anymore. This guy. Before they get to my 600-pound life, sir. Before. But, but so in these cases, I feel like if you have two people that are that same size, you kind of got to wonder how would you make right. That's how I feel right now. How would you make sex a thing? Like how would I don't have an answer for that. Like, and yeah,
You're a sex therapist and you don't have an answer to that.
yeah, I'm a sex therapist and I have no answer for that. I would say this is probably the time for you guys to become the most healthy that you've ever been in your life and start working off some of that weight because weight loss is a conduit to increasing sexual vivacity. You're like, so you gotta lose some weight to get it going.
Man, Dr. J, they got pills for that for the dudes. So
Mm-mm. You got to be able to make the parts meet one another. And so when you become so obese, if let's just say the woman has a large ass, right? So even if you try to do it from the back, there is no way that you can get in there if in front of you is a whole nother thing.
just push it out the way and get in there. Get in there, champ.
He said lift the belly. Oh my god.
Get on in there.
All right, so Jermaine, make it make sense for me. I'm gonna need you to make that make sense because if both of them lifted their bellies are now even larger on top of each other. And
no, they're gonna be holding it while they're doing it. He gonna be holding his, she gonna be holding hers, and get it.
I can't. I just
If he trying to hit it from the back, all you gotta do just point it like the ocean and get on in there.
What in the Kevin Samuels is going on here? This is delusions.
Well, when you fail enough, you hold on. You hold it there, though.
No, you can't. It's not gonna, you know.
That ain't working. That's
Mm-mm.
crazy.
But you know what? Some people don't need sex. Oftentimes I notice that, when people get in their older ages, they move to more of an intimate connection versus a sexual one. Alternatively, I think that I would offer that, or just another sex therapist with more of an open mind, because my mind isn't open enough to see that happening. I mean, the physics say that, that's not going to happen. But I do think that there is a health crisis and a food crisis here in America and in other countries. Okay. Um, and there are a couple of reasons I think that that health crisis needs to be addressed. I think that people need to start asking the questions about what the FDA has approved to be in their foods. Um, I've had the I don't want to say privilege because it's not necessarily an honor or a privilege for me, but I've had an opportunity to sit on several committees, and I think that there are definitely questions that American citizens need to be asking about what's in their food. I think for people um, who don't grow their own food, who are not, farmers of their own animals, and you consume other animals, I think that you should be very specific about which companies you buy your meat products from, if you're going to consume meat, which companies you buy your fresh produce from, if you're going to buy those at a market and things like that. I think that you guys have got to start asking the tough questions. You got to look at where they're outsourcing these products from and what that looks like. For me, I wouldn't want to consume a tremendous amount of products that have a tremendous amount of hormones in them, because if you notice, some of these track stars, right, who took some of these drug tests here recently, they were flagged because of hormones in the food. hmm So I think it says a lot about what's in our food and where we get our food and how we decide to take care of ourselves. So I think that some people down Kevin Samuels because he's giving a difficult truth. But I think that he's not giving a difficult truth. He's just trying to force his truth on other people. Now, if he wanted to have people step into the light of their own truths by way of accepting some of his ideals and applying it to their life, I think that he should be like, okay, well, do you want to know what I think? You want to know what I think about you? This is what I think about you. What do you think about that? Right? If he would have asked them what they felt about what he felt and then take it or leave it, right? Where it is, I would say that he would have a very successful show and he wouldn't be ridiculed for being a person that's forceful of his opinions down other people's throats.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Hey,
And
I have a question though.
mhm,
So, since we talking about the different hormones and possibly chemicals that's in the food, right? There been a huge push about the organic food. Now, are the foods really organic, or is
no,
that what they advertising it to be, but it's really not?
no. Oftentimes you get the organic label, and the organic label means nothing. Doesn't mean nothing. It could be the same exact product pulled off the same exact tree, sprayed with the same exact fertilizer, and they're labeling it as organic in order for them to get a bump up on the amount of money that they make off of it. And it's
Hmm.
legal for them to do so because nobody's out there. Nobody wants to go out there and do the hard work. Okay. Just going to be honest with you guys. But if you want organic, you grow it or get it from a person that's in your community, that's a farmer, that's using safe fertilizers or natural fertilizers to grow their vegetables and produce. Um,
Yeah, so these places like, say for example, the Whole Food stores, many celebrities they endorse the Whole Food Market. Um, said that's a great place to get organic because everything's supposed to be organic there. So in reality, it's really not organic
No,
in
I
a
wouldn't
sense.
say Whole Foods because Whole Foods has been known to just take the same foods that have been rejected from Publix and Kroger's because they're less regulated industry. They can do that. They can take the foods that these people turn out on their trucks and then buy them for less money and sell them to you for higher amount of money because you trust the brand.
And that's the reason why they have this marketplace in the more wealthier neighborhoods.
Yep.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the
Interesting.
day, if I'm trying to make my money, I'm gonna position myself in the more wealthier neighborhoods. How many people are wealthier and then when they end up suffering from obesity, they end up going to get surgeries? Exactly. So for them, it's not a big deal. A lot of people looked at Beyonce and they were like, "Oh, Beyonce looks great. Beyonce looks great after she had her babies." Blah blah blah. If people only saw pictures of Beyonce, the ones that she refused to have posted on the internet, and she's got whole foods being cooked every single day in her household. They're eating at the upscale restaurants. So at the end of the day, when you see the weight gain of your celebrities, it should tell you something about these places that you want to position yourself in front of. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these same celebrities are like super skinny and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So you have to ask, how is this happening overnight? Surgery. So it is what it is. Exactly. So that's the reason she won't let people take those photos when she knows that she's outside of the standard that's been set socially on the media and things like that. I mean, but it's a real issue. I think that if those celebrities were more authentic in their presentation though, we would be able to gauge what it looks like to have healthier eating habits and to know what unhealthy eating habits really look like because they're in the limelight. You understand what I'm saying? So it'd be easier for us to see what the real issue is. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't eat fast food." Guess what? In the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, people were eating fast food. Yep. And the vast majority of people were extremely slim, regardless of how many extra portions we had and all of that good stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to ask yourself what is in the food now that is different than what was in the food then. Oh yeah, but Kelly Rowland is a person who is a portion size counter and she's definitely a person that's going to stay healthy. Stay healthy. Okay? Like and I mean, I'm a person that believed in exercising. I still ran. I did everything while I was pregnant. I mean, because if it's your way of life. Pregnancy shouldn't stop you from living your way of life. So I think that oftentimes there is a misconception in so many of these women's minds. Like I can honestly say, and I mean, I have lots of pictures on the internet, and I've never had a problem with people taking pictures of me. Like day 3, walking out the hospital, I was hot bob mom, like period, 135 pounds at the most after each of my pregnancies. So I think that if people are honest about the process that your body goes through, which is no different than your everyday process when you're pregnant, women don't end up overweight just because they had babies. They don't, because you keep the same routine in your regular everyday healthy lifestyle. When it's time for you to sit your ass down because labor is near that last week, labor actually is smoother as well. You don't have to go and get painkillers that put weight on you, by the way. You don't have to get painkillers to even deliver your child because everything, your body has been conditioned to go through this process. You said, I heard that Janet Jackson took out or cut off some of her ribs to keep the flat belly. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah. But Janet has had like tons of surgeries. That's just kind of one of the things in their family system. Um, I think what's her name? The one that I was talking about earlier. I can't remember her name. The oldest sister. She's probably the one that has had the least amount of surgery. Yeah, Reby. Hmm. She's the one that had the least amount of surgery, and she's like 71 now. So, and to me, I was looking at her, because you guys know I just had my birthday, so I'm like, I don't know, what am I gonna look like in the next 10 years or so. And so I was looking at her. I'm like, ooh, look at her when she was 66. You know what I mean? Like, is that what's in the cards for me? Hold on, let's go back. Roll back a couple of years back. Let's see what she looked like then. Okay, I'm good. Listen, when I tell you the way that you treat your body has a lot to do with longevity in life and how youthful you will appear in life, people, believe me, it's not only how you appear, but it's also how your body functions and how it responds for you. So Refron asks, why are so many people infatuated with celebrities? I think it's because celebrities are the people who paint societal norms. And with the abundance of reality shows out there, which I am not a person who watches, so don't quote me on what the context is. But with the abundance of reality shows, you guys are able to see, I guess, an authentic version of what their lives look like, and that could make it easier to relate to the content that applies to your life too. Let's see. Organic food takes a long time to grow. GMO foods, exactly. But so I think that we need to be looking at portion sizes. I think we need to be looking at the very small truths in some of these content creators that are harshly delivering realities. And that doesn't just include Kevin Samuels, okay? I feel like Judge Joe Brown has been doing some very difficult truth delivery here lately. I love that guy. I just always have, you know. He ain't gonna let y'all get out with no, excuses and things like that. So when we say that we are losing our legacy and that the white people are taking this from us and white people are taking that from us, I think that we have to be a group of people that recognizes that there are incongruent messages that we send to our society at when it comes to the way that we perceive legacy lines. And I think that to go back to the original thought, I think that these people, Kiki Wyatt, I think even though she has a lot of baby daddies or whatever, that's just her living her best life, you guys. I think we can't judge that because sometimes you're not meant to be with the people that you're meant, that you're aligned with, and you have to realign yourself with better energy. And she looks healthy to me, whatever. But so Kiki Wyatt, I think Nick Cannon, what's his name? Antonio Comarte, whatever his name is. I think that those people are examples of Black excellence. And I think that American Black people have got to get off of this whole thing of calling people who are not two Black parents, us two seemingly Black parents. Let me say that. Non Black or whatever y'all say. Whatever the term is you use for taking the Black card away. Because guess what? If they identify with the Black and brown community, they identify with the Black and brown community, you know? So definitely, if you guys catch this on a replay, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you feel about Nick Cannon stepping into his grace and his greatness. Let me know how you feel about wonderful Kiki Wyatt and her lots of kids, 10 kids at this point. And, now that we really have a good look at it, She was just giving her high value man his legacy. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kevin Samuels, he said yesterday that what did he tell that lady? The older lady, the 49-year-old? He was like, oh, but you don't
Dog
want
die alone.
to go get a dog and you're gonna die alone.
That's normally what you tell them.
But also the young lady that was 29, was she 29? 29, 31. I think she was 31. The one
Yeah,
that
she's 31.
the one kid, the
Mm-hmm.
10-year-old. Yeah. So he told her, you don't want to have kids. Like, I'm in my 50s and I want another baby. Like, Kevin Samuels grosses me out. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm like grabbing my daughters. I love this topic, but did you have an average man show?
Yeah, yeah. We did talk. Well, I'm sorry. This your panel. My bad. But
Oh, you're the co-host. Go ahead. Run it. Take over my
no.
pen.
Now
Like
we had plenty of topics regarding Kevin Samuels and about his theory about the average man and all this stuff. So you could catch all the replays of that. Yeah, because
yeah,
we talk
because the
about it a lot.
reality is I don't subscribe to the belief of the whole high value man in the way that Kevin Samuels does. Okay, I feel like men of high value and women of high value are people who align with the value systems and the components of value that a person needs to be added to their life based on their own self reflections of where they are in their life, their spiritual journey, wellness journey, etc. Self reflections. Because at the end of the day, nobody can be high value to you if they don't possess everything that you need. You understand what I'm saying? They may be of value, right? So when Kevin Samuels talks about the finances being in congruence with a certain number for a certain limit of time, blah, blah, blah. Personally, if I'm single, I'm a woman who is very pragmatic. So if I'm single and I'm dating, that means that my man needs to come to the table with a lot more than six figures and an idea that he needs to select options because I'm a wealth builder. I'm a life changer. Okay. So for me, that's not going to work. It's not, that's not going to work. So if you're a person who feels like Kevin Samuels has like high validity in what he perceives to be high value in a man, by all means, go out there, be fruitful, be great, find your woman, multiply if you can. Because at the end of the day, what he does is he sets black men up to be used for their finances and their finances only. Yeah. And you're not getting any legacy lines because at the end of the day, sir, my vagina, if I'm out here and I'm only your value in me is based on my sexual marketplace value, which is obviously inaccurate. Okay. Right. So women know. Women know their value. He had one woman on there. She was like, "Well, I ain't going off of that, dude. I'm a 8. I'm a 9." Yeah, she know her cookie snatching. Okay, a woman knows. So let me encourage you, men, on this one piece right here. You said I'm talking about a show with average women talking about why men can't be average. Yeah, so you would have to speak to me what you mean by average women. I don't know if we've done that, but so let me speak to you guys.
no,
Let's have a heart.
no. We haven't had a topic like that. That's pretty interesting though.
Why men can't be average?
Hmm.
I don't know what they consider to be average. That would have to be,
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Brooks will have to clarify
yeah.
that
Yeah,
because
we'd
it
have
could
to
be
clarify.
anything.
Yeah, because people, the value, like I said, value is attributed to a person who aligns with what you need, and that's an individualistic thing. Now,
Hmm.
we could definitely talk to the fact of women settling and men settling in relationships or whatever. That's a whole another thing. But guys, let me level with you just for a second. So I think that there is an overarching assumption that men attribute the value to a woman's vagina. So type 1 in the chat if you're a man who has had sex with a woman, and as a result of you having sex with a woman, you went away and you felt like that was some really good pussy. Like that's how you went away. Type 1 if you felt that way. Just you, right? Type a 2 in the chat if you're a guy that walked away from a situation after you had sex with a woman and you were indifferent. That means you felt no way whatsoever. Now, this includes those wham bam, thank you, ma'ams, one night stands, right? And the more serious relationships that you found yourself in your relationship. Because the reality is, he's like the
Yep,
one and the two. He said
I
both
knew that I
experience.
knew there was going to type of one and the two
Right.
because in my mind, I done dealt with both situations, both
Okay.
scenarios.
Okay, so that means you understand what I'm talking about, okay? So there are some situations where, oh, and this is the other one now. If you've had that experience with the same person, if you've had both of those shared those both of those individual experiences, you've had both of them with the same person but at different times. Because that can happen. That can happen, okay? So a woman is in control of her vaginal energy. A woman is 100% in control of her vaginal energy. I have to keep saying that, okay? A woman is never relinquishing control of her vaginal energy in its presentation to that of a man. Ever. Even with Kevin Samuels out there. I'm just saying. So you said 1 to 2 times you've had that experience. So if a woman doesn't want you to enjoy sex with her,
Make sure you don't.
you damn right she can make sure you
Make
don't.
sure you don't. You just don't. You just tell.
You will know when a married woman, because that's the thing, like men marry women thinking that, oh my God, like, this is probably the best I ever had. Like, this is some life changing vagina. Let me go do it. Right. But then you think that the woman has no control. She still has control of her vagina and she doesn't have to pedestalize it. She really doesn't. For a woman, you have to earn her submission in bed separately than the submission that you earn in her life overall. So in college, it was great. 2 years after, it was garbage. Right, right. Because when she has bored herself of you, okay, or when you have pissed her off, okay, there are things that women are capable to do with themselves sexually to prevent the pleasurable activity on your part. When a woman enjoys sex, you enjoy sex, believe it or not. Just the physical component, okay? Now, when a woman is not enjoying sex, she can make it to where the connection is lost. So, the moment that she steps away on a spiritual level, on a more intimate level, the sex becomes blah, period. And sometimes it takes women a while for them to even learn this, okay? Like, the reality, like I cannot say that there is a man on the face of this earth that has ever slept with me, because they're just not, it's not a lot of them for one, but there is not a single one that you can find that will say Man, that wasn't nothing. Or, it was a bad experience. Because Kevin Samuels asked this one girl one question that I felt resonated a lot. You have to have conversations with the people that you've been in relationships with. It's necessary. You have to have those conversations because if you don't, you're doing yourself an injustice. Like, how many conversations have you had with your sexual partners, whether it's your wife, your husband, just a one night stand, blah, 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 right? How many conversations have you had with them around sexual functionality? And I wasn't always a sex therapist. I remember there were times where I was just like, you know what, this not it. Like, we're not doing nothing no more. Like, what's wrong with you? You're two pumps and we're done. And you have to sit there. And ladies, this is also education for you. You have to sit there through the conversations because a man will let you know what it is that you do or don't do, whether you're aware or unaware of it, that helps you increase the longevity of the sexual experience. And it may be a hard task, but the vast majority of men do not, you know, get in there and just shoot off. It's the vast majority of people don't. But there are a select few women that will be your experience every single time, regardless of who you're with, how many times you're with them over the course of a lifespan. And you will never get to enjoy sex until you get in contact with what substitutes for you as satisfaction, because you have to find alternative means. So when I say it's important for you to understand the connection you have with the person and the effect that you have with the person, if you want a healthy sex life, if you want to have kids that are born of healthy sexual activity, okay? Because kids that are born of healthy sexual activity are very different in their connections emotionally than kids that are not, to be honest with you. That has to do with attachment trauma and the way that you shape their personalities in utero. So if you want that, you have to have those conversations, but you also have to be extremely authentic in those conversations. So for those of you who had bad sex with people thereafter, or after you had already had great sex with a person, understand it's about your energy. It's about that other person's energy. And sometimes those people don't want to be there. And when a woman doesn't want to be there, your penis and her vagina will respond in a way that says that she doesn't want to be there every time. It said, I can honestly say Kevin has taught me therapy is important before even thinking we're going to be serious with a woman. I agree. I agree. I think that he's taught a lot of people that. I think that that's the main thing that he's pushed. I've seen some segments that he has done where he's claimed to have done the work, and I think it's clear in so many cases that he's not done that introverted work, but I think that he's tried to take things from the therapeutic experiences based off of his interpretations of them and incorporate them into his practices.
Yeah, and it's his personal experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even I don't know why he got this weird thing about not seeing a woman therapist. That is the most immature thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I think it has to do with insecurities though. If you think about it, if his insecurities and his traumas are centralized around his experiences with women in the past, essentially those are going to be his perceptions.
Hmm.
Um when I have a lot of males who come to me and they make a lot of assumptions. You know what I mean? Like I've had some guys who came to me and they were like, well, I thought that therapy was gonna be this. Like, you're a real man, Dr. Jefferson. You can't tell you got all that going on. And they make inappropriate comments and stuff like that, right? And so they're trying to lead things into a different direction. But I think what they see is that with me as a clinician, the same as if you were seeing a male clinician, things like that don't guide and shape the directionality of therapy. You understand? So there is no way that we can ever get off of the fact that our relationship is strictly professional, right? And so oftentimes I think men think going to a male therapist is about relatability. So you need to find somebody that you can relate to. And I also feel like a lot of black people think that it's about relatability. You do not want a therapist that is going to transfer or allow you to transfer perceptions, views, and energy. Your therapist is supposed to remain objective. So, relatability can sometimes lead to undue bias. Undue bias leads to the same thing that you do to fix your problems right now before you end up in therapy, which is masking. And so, I think people have to understand how important that is to the process. If you truly want to heal, you have to position yourself to see and navigate those difficult truths that being in the fight, being in the journey, prevents you from seeing by yourself. So you can't get a relatable therapist for that. Now that's not to say that there are aren't plenty male therapists out there who are able to avoid that component, right, in their clinical assessments. Um, I find that oftentimes I have a lot of males that I've provided training for. There's some interesting folks. I like the way they do their work, especially with people like Kevin Samuels. But there is a certain level of maneuverability the clinician has to have to work with people who suffer from personality disorders. So I think it's because some women therapists get emotional and get their feelings involved. Some, not all. It's a guy. YouTube said the man Kevin Samuel's name was mentioned. They said no. What do you mean? Clarify for me, because I think I'm lost in that last sentence. Do you see something different, urban therapy?
He said it's a guy. He said it's a guy on YouTube that said the minute Kevin Samuel's name was mentioned, then they said no
Would no to
for
what?
for us being engaged with Kevin Samuels, for us having that conversation.
Oh, you mean for clinicians
Hmm.
having a conversation with him? Yeah, I have that. I get that though from a lot of female therapists and male therapists, believe it or not, that are of the black and brown community. Those people are like, you know what? And those groups, they're like, I'm not doing that. And I have a white therapist who's a colleague of mine, and she was mentioning that she saw that Kevin Samuels was disrespectful to a white female on there. One white female. And that was enough to have her click off and never watch again. I was like, I love it. I love the way you think. I love it. Gotta love it. And we talked about having a conversation about race and as it applies to authenticity, because there is another assumption that Kevin Samuels is like a spokesperson for so many black men, right? And so the vast majority of black men who step onto or hang on to the ideals of Kevin Samuels don't realize that these other men, because black women talk about it all day, every day. Cynthia G has talked about it so many times. She was like, well, I had a non-black man, talk about the fact that they don't discredit or devalue or publicly, you know, um, dethrone their women because it means that they would be disrespecting themselves and blah, blah, blah. I want to say this. When you talk about authenticity and you talk about these other cultures, the reality is there are several people in these other cultures who the cultures aren't shaped like America. That's for one. The subculture of white culture are a direct descendant of European culture, okay? And in European culture, I'm just gonna tell you guys from a person that is from Finland and that's in Northern Europe, if you don't know where it is, there is an overarching theme of respect. Okay. And people often ask, well, why are Finnish people considered to be the happiest people in the world? It's because we've made it our business to mind our damn business. That's why. You know what I mean? So we don't have a tendency to get into other people's business and allow that to outweigh having conversations that are respectful. So if we see a person and the person is extremely obese or out of shape or whatever, that's their business. Okay. Now, if that's something that's incongruent with the last time we saw them, it makes it okay for us to engage that conversation and say, "Oh, Catherine, you've gained quite a few pounds there. You're like 50 pounds heavier. What are we doing?" You know what I mean? But, for a person like Kevin Samuels to be having such an authentic conversation and for these young ladies who call into his show to be so patient during that process now. What other cultures of people are seeing is that, oh, well, you know what? It's an overarching theme that this guy disrespects them and they accept it. And, they're okay with it. That's their culture. That's how we look on the outside to other people. Now, I don't know if it matters to you how other people see you, but that's just what it is. Now, I will say it's definitely done something for the white manosphere MGTOW movement. A lot of those guys are really getting divorces now because they thought they could go home and have those same conversations with their women with no backlash. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Urban Therapist? I'm gonna pull up some of these comments.
Which one? To,
What
to
do you
my do to my do you support white women coming on the black men?
How do you feel about Kevin Samuel's commentary towards black women on his panel and the lack of respect that he has while rendering said opinion to those black women?
Um, I personally feel that they could be more well, what's the word I look for, tactful, I guess. But I also noticed the behavior behind that too. That he choose certain women to resemble that behavior with. There's like we said with the Sudabelle girl, he don't act that way towards her. He showed her a lot more respect. I don't know because they been on each other platform that they developed some type of relationship or however it is, versus a random guest that he don't know. He treat them totally different. So in that aspect, yeah, I don't agree with the tactfulness of what he does. Um, because that it could be in other words a double-edged sword. It can either help that person or it can enable that person too. And also on the show, he used the example of us being parents and talking to a kid, right? And he was saying that if a kid is like in trouble or in danger, then he'll be the straight up with the parents will be straight up with the kid and start telling like, hey, you all need to do this, that, and that. And he used that to validify how the way he talked to people on this panel, But he also have to realize too that he's not talking to children; he's talking to grown women.
Right.
So you have to be after at the same time be respectful. What would say it's ways how you can say things without it being totally blatantly disrespectful, just to get your like and views.
Yeah, but I think that his likes and his views, and then oftentimes I think that even on that show last night, right? Um, he told the one girl, he was like, I mean, I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid to do. I'm not getting anything out of this.
Hmm.
You are though. You literally are. You're getting views, you get paid from YouTube. I don't know if these young ladies
Yep.
are just ill advised and they are really ignorant as to what his process is and what that entails and things like that. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's real.
yeah, he absolutely getting paid because
Yeah,
some of them have to go on this website through the Godfather website to even get onto the panel like that. That he's getting his kickbacks from all the donation stuff. So yeah, he's getting
yeah,
paid to do what he
yeah.
do.
So you're getting something out of belittling me very much. You're getting
Hmm.
likes and follows and things like that. And if you notice when he starts to be more respectful and shift gears now, right?
Hmm.
He's getting less views. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yep.
getting less views on that content because people are not there for that. Also, one of the ways that he increases his likes and follows and stuff like that on his channel is just crazy to me. Like you're bullying people into liking this content. Like you're gonna play
Hmm.
rock music until they increase the likes.
Yeah, he sure do that. I haven't seen him do that lately, but
I
well,
did. I did say
in the
yesterday.
beginning, he used to do it all the time.
You got off in good time. Cause when I saw it yesterday, I was like, okay, like just let me know when you're back and shit like that. Cause I'm not playing with you. I already don't want to be here. Like people are like, you should watch, you should watch. There is no way in hell I'm about to continue to watch this madness. Text me when he get back on since you're watching. You know what I mean? That's my response.
Yeah, no, normally I don't watch his shows live because I'll just be trying to skip through it
Me
to
too.
the one important parts of it because he spent almost like a half an hour just doing a random rant about whatever topic that he's talking about. Then another part of the segment that's where he started doing this on sponsorships and endorsements and all the stuff there. Then that's when he get to the main panel portion of it.
Yeah, I think I caught it after he had already been broadcasting for like an hour. So I skipped the entire
Yeah.
part. So maybe I didn't see all of that. But because my thing is I just don't want to hear him rant because like you're his body is cute, but his face isn't. So like you're not that's like so objectification like of men, right? Like but the reality is guess what? If I'm here, you might as well make it entertaining for me,
Hmm.
you know?
And that's how other people feel about it. They want to be and always be entertained. So I
Yeah.
believe that's why he do that. I believe that once when a person comes on there, he like, yeah, this is the person I'm gonna go in on just to get these
Yeah,
views and
because
likes
and
up.
he'll say that. Like he said that about that therapist woman. Oh, they're gonna pick this one up and they're gonna have a ball with this one. Like, what's wrong with you, weirdo? But so I want to get to some of these. I want to get to some of these questions. So, man, mainstream media can't allow that type of content because it's very raw. Which content was it that we were talking about then? The disrespect component.
Yeah. Oh, I was reading about it part talking about now. So you want him to um talk to callers but not hear what you have to say. Now with me when I view his content, it only takes me 10 minutes to figure out exactly what he's talking about. I don't have to sit through the whole entire section to know exactly what he's saying. So that's what I do. First about 10 to 15 minutes of it, I'm listening to his talking points, his viewpoints. Then after that, I skip through all the way through his story while listening to what he's talking about with the caller stuff. Because it's the other stuff that's irrelevant. That is
So
me.
this quick disclaimer: Kimoji is like the Kevin Samuels in the chat. So he's a huge Kevin Samuels supporter, or she, I don't know. But I think it's great that you're here. You really should have been here at yesterday's discussion. But I'm not gonna judge you or anything like that. Here now.
Talking about me?
No, Kimoji.
I was about to say, shoot. Yeah, you know, I was that shoot. It's my off day.
With you. So let's answer his question. Do you support white men commenting on black men?
It, it
I
depends on
think
what they're
that,
talking about.
yeah. So for me, I'm going to say I don't care. I think that men should be talking about men issues with men.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't think that, I don't think that women in general should be talking about men issues. So let me give you guys a good example. I have a lot of female friends who talk about male and their sexual performance issues and stuff like that. And of course, I'm a sex therapist for men and women and transgenders and non-gender conforming, non-binary, all of those wonderful folks. So when they're having certain conversations and they try to pull me in, I say, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. Why? A couple of reasons. Because, like, for one, you're not paying me and I don't work when I'm not working. And for two, you should be having a deeper conversation with your intimate partner about the issues that you're complaining to me about right now. And you don't really know a lot about because it's their experience. So, if you're talking about your man and his erectile dysfunction issues, and you're talking about his intimacy issues, and you're saying, okay, well, sometimes his dick is hard and it's very strong, and then sometimes it's not, and when it is, it's only hard for about 5 to 10 seconds. As soon as we get ready to put it in, it loses, you know its stiffness, and now we can't have sex because it won't go in because it's too large. This is a conversation that I defer to you to go back to have with your man, because if you guys are having those types of issues, you should be talking to a professional in a professional capacity, not in a social capacity, because I'm not going to entertain those conversations. Does that make sense? So the same thing goes to men. Like I told you guys earlier, even though men like to take credit and say, okay, well, a woman's sexual marketplace value, if we had to give it Kevin Samuels, title, is a 6 or a 7. I don't know what you guys would rate that thing, but it decreases over time as the woman gets older. Because he asked this one woman, he was like, well, what do you know that increases in value with age and use? Wine, because every once in a while the wine is maturing, I'm gonna go down there to the wine cellar, I'm gonna pop that baby open, I'm gonna get a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it back, and then I'm gonna go back another 10 years later and I'm gonna do it again, but it's gonna give me a whole different buzz.
You,
So
you, oh, I mean, cut you off. It's one of the things that he do that I absolutely do not like. I think it's totally disrespectful. Is
what's that?
when he be asking them triggering questions, and it be like a specific answer that he want, and that
Right.
person don't know, and the person literally say, "I don't know. Won't you tell me? Won't you just guess? I don't know.
Yeah, that
Try
was
to
one of
figure it
those.
out. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know what
one of
it
those
is."
questions, because the thing for me was like, okay, like, what do you mean nothing in life gets better over time? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are lots of things that age gracefully. I mean, and to be honest, and he keeps saying this one thing, and for me, it's very triggering. The fact that he's like, "Oh, well, I want a young woman because she's soft and there are no scars unless we put them there." The fuck are you into? I, what's wrong with you? Like, you want to go and get somebody's baby and scar them emotionally, physically. I don't. His
Hmm.
his
That's crazy.
ideals, you know, are very disturbing. Very
Yeah.
disturbing.
Yeah, did he do this too? Where when that person keep saying that they don't know, once you tell me, he'll do this. He'll say this. If you, ma'am, if you keep playing games with me, I'm gonna bid you a good night. Like, what are you talking about, bro? I don't know what you're talking about.
So
And you
okay,
trying to get
well,
me to say something specific, but I can't read your mind. I don't know what it is. What do you want from me? I don't know.
I just think that he's creating a climate where women and men are going to become baby daddies and baby mamas permanently. I think that he is not a person who can solidify or keep relationships together, but I do think that he is a guy that creates an innate need inside of, people to have conversations that otherwise would not be visited. So to answer your question, like super KS supporter, um, sound like I was saying kiss ass, but I wasn't. Kevin Samuels KS is what I said. The answer is no. I don't necessarily support, but I don't necessarily go against white men commenting on black men because men are men. I'm not a person who believes in race and division of people in one said country. You're all one to everybody else. You're just one. So that's just what it is. You said like on Cynthia J. Are we gonna talk about Cynthia G again? Yeah, no. I don't know what Cynthia G does on her channel because I could not stomach getting through a full video ever. I did, however, watch some snippets of some of them and skip through a couple of them, but that doesn't suffice. So no, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's the same way with me. Like I stated earlier, it just really depends on what um the the man is talking about, the white man is talking about. If he's coming on and blatantly making racial gestures and stuff like that, then of course I'm gonna defend my case of how I personally feel about that. But if it's just random stuff talking about this men in particular, I don't have no problem with it. Yeah, I have no problem with it.
So wasn't there a rumor that Kevin Samuels and Cynthia G went on a date, or was it that she called his show?
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. So go back to Jermaine says, as a sex therapist, do you agree with scientific sex time? I agree with this. Okay, so the science has told us that the typical sexual encounter between a male and a female, when we're talking about male to female sex, lasts somewhere between 35 and 45 minutes in its entirety. So that's not just the penetrative sex, that's everything. And I know, like, I know so many of you are gonna be like, no, I'm out here fucking for hours. Liars. But no, seriously. Like we have devices that track sexual activity. So when I've done studies, of efficacy studies with my clients, and the science is about right. Even the ones who are come to me for tantric sexual exploration and release, spiritual work and things like that. Even they might get like an extra 15 minutes, so maybe it's an hour or so, um, on average. And that doesn't mean that they don't have some of those segments that are like 2 hours, but on average, it's about an hour or so when a person has gone through tantric, exploration and that type of therapy, because it just does a lot for freeing those inhibitions and stuff like that. Let's see. A1 Show, how are you? Says the one problems with Samuels is that he pushes marriage far too much and seems to think that it's feasible idea to get married solely in the 20s in these you don't know why? Yesterday I felt really good about the vulnerability of Mr. Samuels. I did. I felt very good about it because he finally was able to admit so many of the things that were, I guess, clinical conceptualizations for me watching his interactions and patterns and body language and words and the way that he responded to things and that kind of stuff. So he confirmed a lot of things that you guys have heard me say already, but you guys were like, oh no, you can't say that about Kevin because we must protect him at all costs. And I'm totally with you. Like, protect your godfather. If that's the way you want to have it, like, do what you're gonna do. I'm yeah, but I'm still gonna do my thing too. So he confirmed so much of that because he talked to some of the things that I didn't release that I already had receipts for, and that was the way that he interacted in his marriages with the women that he was married to, his lack of preparedness and financial stability in the marriages that he had, and his inability to do the things that his wives were expecting of him, and his inability to provide for his kids in the way that his wives expected. So there were several things that he just came out, and he was just outright passively, though, mentioned. I must say, he did, you know, say those things. So I think that a lot of his trauma, as I'm going to answer your question, has a lot to do with why it is that he is pushing marriage at this age. But I think he's doing so in a way that will help men avoid the pitfalls and the shortcomings that he suffered as a young man, married to those women who were the same age as him, but way more mature than he was. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. Some black people have not been talked to about debt, retirement, but I think that some of his conversations, I'll say that because to go back to that show last night, he talked about a lot of things, but I think that some of his conversation is sheer anxiety, because I said the same thing, because I'm looking at the deficit and the deficit and the deficit of the federal composition, as it, as so much of this COVID-19 fund. I don't know where you guys think the money is coming from. Like, I really don't. And I don't know why people haven't been having these conversations. But I will say that my kids, the ones that are in their 30s and the ones that are in their 20s now, you understand? I think that even my teenagers, all of my kids understand wealth. It's not about finances. It's a conversation about wealth. And it's a conversation that's about generational wealth that includes more than finances. And so I think that that's definitely a conversation that is necessary. So that's one of the reasons that I do say he has a lot of validity when he's pushing certain subjects, but his numbers are oftentimes misconstrued to draw people's attention into them so they can start doing their own investigation. That's what I think. It's a tactic. So, says I agree with about 75% of what he says. Okay, not the swirl of community. No, I'm just maybe I'm just tired. You read it.
What's that? No, the swirl of the community was calling the show. I guess that's in reference to the white folks comment earlier about white people calling there.
Oh, because I know the one lady that got disrespected, and she was calling, trying to figure out what a high value man meant for Kevin Samuels. He was like, he played the Dumbo. Do, 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 do. I gotta admit, I'm just gonna be honest, you guys. I do not like Kevin Samuels, but I do. He's entertaining. Fuck it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
he is. He's absolutely
He's
entertaining.
become
He's
more
entertaining.
entertaining.
See, um,
You
honestly,
retweeted him, so
Cynthia G, she's entertaining too. If you could sit through her content, get past that ghetto talking and
I can't.
dusty stuff,
Can't get
she's
past
pretty
the
entertaining too.
recipes. I can't get past any of that.
It's like
There's
Tanya.
one guy over
Tanya could be
here who
entertaining
is
too.
who? Which one?
Tanya TKO, she'll be entertained too if you get past all the other stuff.
That's a whole nother ball game. I can't. I just can't with Tanya CKO. Said Miss many people just can't retire anyway these days for financial reasons. Well, yeah, I do agree with that. I do agree with that. But I think that it's also becoming a more of a commonality for people who do retire from one occupation to move into the next. And that has a lot to do with the study that we released about, how long ago was it? 2 months ago when we were done. So maybe the study was released six check 6 weeks back if you guys are checking, like, um what is it is Mednet or Medline. I can't remember who released it. I'll have to find and paste the link to it here. But we released a new life expectancy report based off of several studies that we've been conducting over the last 10 years. And to be honest with you, people choosing to move into new occupations and learn new things and go into entrepreneurship, and because going into entrepreneurship requires that most people learn a new skill, like build business building, branding. Those people who were not computer savvy prior to, they now learn to use computers. And I don't know how much you guys know about the brain science, neuroscience behind dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that, but those things, those conditions only present, even though people think, oh, well, it has to do with my family exposure, history, and all this stuff. But it doesn't. It only presents when you allow those brain cells to continue to die. And then, as a result, your neuroplasticity decreases. So if you're learning a new skill set, then typically you're seating yourself to be positioned in a way that's so that you can continue to increase your neuroplasticity or brain matter. Your brain continues to grow, and as a result, you continue to live on. So people now have a life expectancy of over 100 years. That is just, that was beyond me. That was beyond me. I was like, oh man, I could stop thinking that, death is near because like I'm getting older. I'm like, the what? But no, seriously. think I think that if we are, I think it's a bad thing that people can't retire because of financial reasons in the United States. And it's so interesting when I look at what retirement looks like and the financial needs of a retired person are in this country versus others. Um, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that though. Oh God. I think so the money, but the money really isn't coming from anywhere. It's all the budget is already in the deficit. So when all of this money is being given to people, and I'm going to be honest about the dynamics, you guys, I want you guys to go and take a good look at where this money is going. It's going into the black and the brown community. But oftentimes, the black and brown community, we don't have anything to show for the money that we've received because we're not doing our due diligence, because we're thinking that, okay, in order for us to get this money, we need to be doing less than financially. So I think that there are a lot of things that we need to explore in our community around accountability and how we decide to gauge help, if we want to call it help. Possibly. Cynthia G has some good points. I don't know. I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Yeah, she be having some good points sometimes. She just like Kevin service. Even Tanya TKO be having some interesting points that really have me like, huh.
I can't say because I've not watched enough. I used to watch some of Tanya TKO's content, but after she did that review on Kevin Samuels that day, it was just too much for me. It was really too much. And then after
So
they all got together and did this review on Tab, I was like,
yeah,
yeah, I just can't. Because they're just, I can't get past the theatricals and all that extra stuff. I had an appreciation for Tanya TKO leaving her camera turned off because she's just too extra and all that extra stuff she's doing, and you know
yeah, she step into the entertainment round because that's exactly what she is now.
she could definitely be a comedian for sure. Retirement costs is why so many Americans are becoming expats in South and Central America. I thought about that. I thought about that, and I think that there is some validity, but I think that Also, I think to retire smart means that you leave this country anyway. I'm just gonna be honest. Just gonna be honest. Just being honest. I'm not pushing you guys to trade in your American citizenship, but you'd be surprised as to what happens when you do. I'm just gonna put that out there like that. Um, but so I don't know. Tell me some of the good points you feel like Cynthia G has, or share with me some of the videos you feel like she had some good points in putting out there. What have you found in your exploration of Cynthia G's content, Urban Therapist?
Man, that woman ghetto than the mud. I ain't lying.
So there was a guy on here who said that, was it you, Mr. Brooks, when you said the Dusties? What does Dusty mean? Can somebody trash bag Dusties? Can you somebody like define that for me? Because I'm still struggling.
Yeah, I still don't know exactly what it means because the meaning keeps changing.
Hmm.
Because she explained it one time and then it changed around again. So I really don't know. I really don't know. At one
Well, yeah,
point in time, it was relating to her baby daddy. So
I thought it wasn't relating to her baby daddy. Some people said that she refused to talk about her baby daddy being a Dusty, and she met him on the internet, and he was a YouTuber or something, and she had the baby with him. Obviously, he wasn't a Nick Cannon. She should have made a better decision. She should have just slept with Nick Cannon, right?
yeah,
Somebody gonna
she
say,
been well better off.
"Oh, we got the solution to her issue, or
Been well better off.
conversely." So tell me what are you guys' thoughts? Somebody define struggle Dusty, trash bag Dusty. Isn't that what she? Trash bag struggle Dusty.
I'm I'm gonna research on. I'll research on it tomorrow. Then
Yeah,
I'll message you about my findings on it tomorrow.
yeah,
That'll be the first thing I do while I'm at work tomorrow.
yeah. Because like I'm
Research
gonna
that.
do. I got an interesting show for tomorrow night, you guys. Tomorrow night is my regular show time, and at 11, and I definitely want to know the meaning of that because it's gonna have to give some context to some of the things that I've been reviewing because I want to have a conversation around the climate of discord between the black male and the black female experience in the here and now and what that means. And also Kevin Samuels saying that black women can't handle the truth.
I I I had posted on my page to my Fisher Urban Thirst page on Facebook, but I've not posted. Where I post? Hold up, I read exactly where I post. Let me go on there real quick. Shoot.
Such colorful verbiage. Is that what you said? Okay, so Kamoji says black men who are underachieving. Underachieving what standard though? Their own or society's? Dusty, struggle, dusty, trash. But you guys gotta understand the trash bag goes in there. I heard it. Like, have you heard her speak? Like when she say these things.
hmm Oh, I post on my page, black women. Why are you conditioned to not listen to your black men? That's what I post, and I was getting some
Yeah, because
interesting
that's what she
feedback on
said.
that.
Yeah, because Courtney said that that was Courtney's response. But
hmm
I want to talk a little bit about Courtney's experience because that's just her experience, and that's interesting to me. It's really interesting to me because I feel like oftentimes we don't give a full context when we say these things. So Courtney's experience being one where she says she was raised with her father, right?
Yeah,
And
she said she was raised with both parents, mother and father.
yeah, yeah. But she says that, because she didn't hear certain things from her father, but she did hear them from her brothers. I'm just curious as to what kind of father she had in the home. And I'm curious, excuse me, how Kevin Samuels feels about her father, because he has no problem with telling people that their mothers gave him poor advice.
Hmm.
right? And apparently, this is a young lady who was raised with her father in a home, and she still became a baby mama. Am I right or am I right? I mean, and in becoming a baby mama, she was disrespectful to her child's father. She did a whole video on her page of her crying in tears, talking about she was having a conversation with the guy and all this extra stuff. And I'm pretty sure he was like, "This bitch got to be out of her mind, calling me out of the
Or the judge be you.
like, mm. But what can I
Yeah.
say? It says, "What little I have seen of Cynthia G.
Oh,
She uses the term pathology far too much and always in relation to men. Pathology means the study of the findings of the yieldings of, typically when we talk about, because as a medical doctor I was an infectious disease pathologist. Epidemiologist is the official name. And if you're trying to find out how to combat a disease like COVID, you have to be able to synthesize what molecules or what components create the virology, right? In order for you to reverse it, typically. So I guess if she's trying to pathologize men, she's trying to figure out men, trying to study them and figure out what can she decondition the things that she doesn't like in men, maybe to recondition more appropriate responses.
um, that's possible.
Says no women I know wants to be a baby mom. The black men don't want to take care of their responsibility. You think so? That's an interesting assumption. The vast majority of black men that I know don't run away from responsibility, but instead they are made to be baby daddies, and they are made to be, how do you say, deadbeat dads by way of parental alienation on the part of the mother. And I think that all way too often we've seen that story being played in the public. We've seen that. Now, every once in a while, a man is going to be a man and he's going to step away, whether he's black, brown, indifferent, white, orange, pink, whatever. And he might not take care of his kid. But for the vast majority of the time, in my role as a clinician, both black men and white men here in America oftentimes are made out to be the villain by a vindictive ex-girlfriend who they don't want to be with, and once they decided to move on into another relationship, those said women make them the deadbeat dad by way of painting a certain picture to the system about them. You said, so you think black women keep kids from their dad?
Yep.
No, it's not. I think I know.
They do.
I see it every day.
They do.
That's what I
Mm.
do.
Yeah, then it's not a black woman thing. It's
It's a woman
them
thing.
type of women that does that.
Hmm. So Jermaine says black men do take care of their children and responsibility. I think that they do when they're allowed to. I think that they
Hmm.
do when they are allowed to and not emasculated. I think that any man, when emasculated and when a woman limits his access to his child by way of either her actual actions or the situations that she puts him in. Because understand, these are two different things. Okay. Women can position a man to where he's not able to care for his child because you make it uncomfortable for him, or you make it impossible for him to do what he feels he needs to do with said child. Um, but women can also very directly say, well, I'm not letting you see your kid. No, no, no. They'll take you to child support court, but they won't take you to legitimize the child so that you can get access to the kid, right? And they won't tell you about that. They won't talk about the fact that you could go and you could sue for, you know, part legal custody and all of your visitation and access rights to be legalized. Like, I think that men have to make better choices though. So when you're going out there, you got to be a person that's like this guy, right? Nick Cannon. He's having all these kids, but the one thing you guys don't know is he has signed agreements with all these women that allow him full access to his kids. So I think that he's smart. He's smart. So this is one of the reasons I have been a bachelor for over 30 years. No drama, no mamas from mamas. you know, um, says while you're keeping it a stack right now, much respect. I mean, I keep it 100 all the time. I don't know where you've been. Says two things I never thought of about it like that, Dr. J. I know. It's hard. It's hard to sit with it, but sometimes, like when you're seeing it every single day, and you see it in so many different populations of people, whether they're wealthy people or broke people, it's the same behavior. It's the same behavior. And what I often tell people is this:
That's all I know. I ever
it's not a broke woman's behavior, and it's not a broke man's response. These are basic behaviors and responses based off of a system that automatically made a mistake when they made women the most emotionally expressive creatures, the primary custodians by default of their children. I talked to that when I did that review the other day about the young lady who was 23 years old and killed her 5-year-old daughter in Vegas. Um, and what was that, like a week ago?
in the hot room.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was about a week ago.
yeah. So I talked about that then because the reality is, even though women are emotionally more mature than men are more, and I hate to say it, men are more emotionally responsive. And so when a man feels a high level of responsibility to a particular thing, a man has a natural need to provide for that thing, to protect that thing, and do whatever it takes for him to make sure that thing survives, and it makes it because it's its own, it's of him. Like, that's the natural capacity of a man. Now, a woman will attempt to protect, and she will naturally gravitate to a fighter's instinct when in the immediate space while she's trying to meet the provisions of that child. She will protect them then. But when her distress becomes heavy because she's emotionally expressive naturally, she will express her emotions, and her emotions will get the best of her because she'll be flooded with them. The man, because he's more emotionally responsive, will respond to the distress. Does that make sense? So when the heat gets hot in the kitchen, the man is actually going to do what it takes for him to get done with the things in the kitchen for him to leave because he knows he has a responsibility in that kitchen. Versus a woman is naturally ready to flee. And so when this woman, took flight because financial distress, being a single mother, and all of that stuff, she left those kids. She left those kids to die, locked them in the room, went downstairs, and had her entire psychotic episode because she tapped out. And that's just what it is. Said black men have kids with these women, then walk away. Even if she keeps the kids from him, he should have kept that in mind before having sex with her. Well, the thing about that is that hindsight is a motherfucker, as they say. Okay. Foresight cannot always prepare you for what will come if you don't know it will come and if you don't believe it'll come. So, most black men, and I'm going to say that most black men just don't believe that these wonderful, sweet, caring, yielding, giving me her vagina freely every day while I'm broke, they don't believe that this woman is going to turn into the angry baby mama because what black men have a thing about being in the moment. especially when they find themselves like crazy in love and stuff. They will be
Yeah,
it there. Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's facts. I agree with
yeah.
that.
So you can't tell them you need to prepare. Like I've had black males as clients. I'm like, okay, so what are you doing to prepare yourself for becoming a father with this woman? And my real question to them is the first question is always, okay, so are you guys gonna get married? And like, no, I just want to become a dad. I know that she's the one, and right now I know we're not in a position to where I can give her the wedding she wants. Blah blah blah. It's the same song. It's the same song, and I'm talking about hundreds of men. Okay, but same song. And they're like, they really trust them. And then when they come back to me after they've been out of therapy for a year and a half, and now the kid's obviously, about 8, 9 months old. What do you think they're coming for now? Baby mama drama, co-parenting separately because they refuse to prepare. And even though I've given them the education prior to, they didn't let it sink in because they're like, I remember you was telling me something about when we get here. Get your head out of the clouds, dude. Get your head out of the clouds. Stop thinking with your penis and start paying attention to what's in front of you. Period. Do you have kids? Is that for me or for the other urban therapist?
Um, I don't know. I guess that's a question for you because he didn't say at the urban therapist.
Let's see. Oh, maybe he's talking to the
But
A1 show. Put that comment up there. I think you missed the comment. Says you can't cross a bridge until you get there. Hard to know in such a situation until you face
yeah,
it.
yeah, I agree. I agree with that too. Yeah,
That may
that's
have been a
true.
question for him. Kamoji, was that a question for me or for the A1 show? But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, because you at the end of the day, you really can't predict the behavior of a person until you actually engage them, and
but you
wherever
can.
happens.
But you can. See, that's the difference between a man and a woman. Let me tell you something. Women are positioning themselves to manipulate you before you even know that they are. And that's the natural way of a woman. I keep trying to explain to you guys. Kevin Samuels is ill preparing you for the world that you live in. Women's natural capacity is to be in a position to where they can seat their man in a position to where he can win for them. That's a woman's job. That's a woman's job, okay? A man's job is to protect and provide by way of taking heed to wise advisements of the woman he has coveted, the woman he's cloaked. That's the natural yin and yang, period. Your foresight and your blind spot is your woman.
Mhm.
That's just what it is. So, Jermaine says if the woman becomes a toxic baby mother or not, he needs to leave or get her help. What do you mean? Like beforehand you guys should, and this is the thing, if you want to have children with someone, you have to seat yourself in a position to where you are having kids with somebody you've already planned to have kids with, and you guys have gotten the help that you need. You said, but us women are supposed to know about these situations beforehand. Women definitely know how they're going to seat themselves. Definitely. They may not disclose it to you because they're still finding it out, essentially along the way. But once they find out, they're not going to disclose that to you. They're not going to tell you because at the end of the day, that's when they finally realize, like, I have a real opportunity to win here. And in order for me to win, I've got to get him to do this thing for us to win, right? So getting you to do a thing means that she's manipulating you. She's pulling you a certain direction. And she knows that you're a man. If you're a man, you're not going to follow easily. If you know you're being manipulated, you're going to do what? You're going to resist it. That's what a resistance is. Resistance is a natural component. And so then you pull that way just because that's the natural
Mm.
thing. But otherwise, if I manipulate the situation and position myself to be able to whisper in your ear at the right moment, hello, go back to Adam and Eve.
Well, well, um, well, my rebuttal on that is that it it actually do be men that be knowing that they woman be manipulating them, right? But however, they choose to follow that path because they see that it's more of a logical move to do it versus than resisting it,
You only see it as
depending on
logical
what it is.
because she manipulates your mind to see it as logical.
Oh no,
Oh no.
nope.
I'm just letting you know. You only feel like you're in control because she lets you feel like it. You will only see what a woman will allow you to see. You better go back and sit and have a conversation with your grandparents. I'm telling you. You know, this is gems. So says no, we don't need men today. We are more educated and independent. I don't see the need to manipulate a man because I have my own. So have your own what? Because without a man, you can have no legacy. Neither can he. So, but like I said, I feel like the Kevin Samuels is definitely seeding people, you know, to not have legacies. They said, "Do you control your man, doctor?" I don't know. I think that he controls himself, but I think that I manipulate myself and maneuver myself into positions to where I'm definitely heard. Let's put it like that. Definitely heard. I definitely have a voice in my relationship. Um, Oftentimes our voices are mirrored because I think that after a while, what happens is if you seat yourself properly in your position as a woman and you lead from your position as a woman and you don't worry about or step into his position as a man and his leadership capacity, there is a certain level of mutual respect, very similar to what the official urban therapist was speaking to. So he eventually feels like, I'm only gonna let her. I see what she doing, but she only let you see half the cards. That's it. That's it. That's it. The way that the female brain and the male brain works is very different for a reason. There is a reason that science has showed us that the female brain is a larger, wider capacity in mass than the males. And the areas that they are very much differing in is how they maneuver themselves and the capacity for knowledge and soaking that up. And that's because a woman is accomplished. She's meant to soak up knowledge over the lifespan and bring that back to a man. And that's even now, those are recent studies. So, oh, Jermaine, you got me dying. I look, okay, if that was the case, then Adam would have never eaten that apple. He would have said, "Oh, okay, I see what you got going over there, Eve. All right, good job. Bring it back to me when you're done." He said, "So you manipulate your husband? Yes or no?" Of course, of course, of course. I manipulate my husband. Hmm. Yes, yeah. But I feel like I feel like that's is innate. But you manipulate everybody that you're around. That's what you do. That's what we do. Natural.
Hmm.
When you want a job, how do you think that you go into a job interview and you walk out with okay, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and set up an interview right now as to how we're going to talk about next steps. How do you think Kevin Samuels get you guys to click the like button? Cuz it doesn't take him long. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? He's right back on the show and okay, now we got enough likes.
Yep.
What do you think that is?
Yeah, yeah. Then also you got to look at uh, the the term manipulation is necessarily a bad thing, neither. It could be very positive depending on that person and their intent behind it. Or it
Exactly.
could be very negative too.
It can. But I think that oftentimes manipulation often gets this whole negative connotation associated with it because people don't understand that it's an innate part of life. When you see that children at age 3, 4, 5 are manipulating the situations and are confabulating because that's what they do when they're nervous, and that's how we know, or when they don't have the answers to things. It's a very normative thing that kids do at early age of development because they don't have the answers, but they feel like they should, right? So
Hmm.
it shows us their capacity to manipulate themselves into situations and make things make sense. So it's a natural part of human behavior.
Hmm.
Let's see. It says in the scriptures, it's named an apple. It informs us. I don't know. It's a fruit. What do you mean? Well, we use apple pretty universally because, you got to think about it. It's the tree of life. The fruit of the tree of life bears both apples and passion fruit. Forbidden fruit is an apple. Passion fruit was always the fruit of fertility. And that's one that we've always been given from the beginning of all times. It's actually what causes fertility amongst man and woman. It says, you should have women on your panel. The guy is boring. You're a boring official urban therapist.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I like males to give a balance to the conversation in certain conversations, but also we do have female. We have a female official co-host. Susanna's the official co-host of the panel.
Hmm. Then if you don't like it, you can always go tune in and watch Cynthia G, Kevin Sandwich. You got a lot of options out there.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of very entertaining males out there. Very
Hmm.
entertaining. Very, very entertaining. You know.
Yep.
But yeah. So I want to know how you guys feel continuously. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are about the infamous now. God, this guy is like goals in life for men. I really do. I do think so. Tell me what you guys are now thinking about Nick Cannon, though. Tell me what you think about his defying the odds, because he's definitely done that. Like, you know, I feel like I know in the world of sex therapy, he's definitely got a lot of minds going in a lot of different directions right now, for sure. Hey Mike, how are you? Um, but yeah, he's definitely got a lot of minds going in an interesting direction for the sex therapist because he might meet this guy. He might be goals for you guys as males. Like, who's irresponsible and reckless?
Talking about Nick Cannon.
That's one way of looking at it, but he also may be the most prepared guy that I've ever seen. Um and he's walking into this. I want to see how it pans out. I want to see how it pans out. So far, it looks like it's going to be an amazing journey. So I disagree. Urban therapist has a magnetic magnetic personality. Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. The women he chooses has no problem being baby mama, so why should we? You know what? I don't think that there is a problem with the baby mamas becoming baby mamas, but I think that it also says something a little deeper because they're a little bit more than baby mamas. I don't think people have noticed that. Like, this guy was there for every pregnancy photo shoot. I don't know how he made that happen.
Yeah. Nick, he doing this thing though.
Right, and
As
because
being the baby dad, he
reality
doing this thing.
shows and everything. I don't think that Nick Cannon qualifies as a baby daddy. I think Nick Cannon is world's father at this point. Like, I, quit comparing him to Creepy Bill.
I'm just saying.
God,
He was a
I
bad
am
dad.
like,
He was a bad dad first, right?
ugh.
When the first
he, America had a raping ass dad. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding. No,
he manipulated the country. He had a whole car. Who did this?
he didn't manipulate the country. People knew that that was the. Let me tell you something, okay? Back in them days,
Yeah, but he doing
there
that.
is nobody that is in their late 50s or 60s that does not know what the climate and the culture and the black
He
community
brought it full
and the
circle.
entertainment industry looked like back then, okay?
Yeah.
So Quaaludes was a very they used to call those disco biscuits, okay? Y'all better do your research, okay?
No, we ain't gonna throw a name calling now.
Yeah, yeah, you good, Rush. You're not doing that. Do
Yeah,
all
don't
that. Because as you see, I'm cool. I
yeah,
haven't changed my demeanor and nothing like that. I'm
yeah,
good.
don't be yeah,
Yeah,
don't
yeah, I do that. Yeah, we good, bro.
yeah, people are allowed on this channel to have
Yeah.
differencing of opinion.
She
Most
want
people
more.
don't
She want
agree
more
with me.
money, boy.
You
Trade.
guys won't, okay?
She want some toxicity.
Oh, Money Boy Trading came on here with his toxic
That's
energy
what I'm talking about.
already
That's what she want.
earlier.
She want him to be a mouthy person.
Oh
Person,
God,
person
no.
overthinker.
Money Boy Trey, are you out there listening to this? My producer thinks that you talk too much and you're toxic and all that good stuff.
He got something to say. Believe that about everything.
Oh God, I can't with you. I can't with you. But yeah, I don't think that his children's moms are baby mamas, and I don't think that he's a baby daddy. I think that he's a father right now. I think that he's shown that he has a tremendous amount of maturation though, like his preparedness and just being there. I think that he is going to be the epitome of goals and acceptance for for the polyamorous lifestylers. I think that
Yeah, he
he's it right
he
now.
yeah, he definitely setting a blueprint for it for real though. He definitely is.
He is for acceptance of it, and I think that he's doing a great job. Like I really do, and I have to commend the guy for his preparedness, for his finally being able to let go of his inhibitions and be a free spirit. I don't know how I feel about his perceptions operating in that energy in American culture, though. I'm just going to be honest, but as long as he keeps himself spiritually aligned, I feel like he'll definitely be protected. And the energies that collide with him will be the right types of energy. I just hope that he continues to walk in that same energy because it is so hard. It can be very hard because when you're mixing yourself amidst American culture, there are just so many shaming, blaming, judgy tactics out there that can definitely knock you off. But you have to be able to get back on with the quickness, so they say, so you can make sure you protect yourself, protect your energy, your inner circle, and find vibrant ways to connect to the people that are meaningful, especially kids, because they're depending on him to keep themselves tethered. So let's see. Um, Women create more single family homes than men do. Um, Single family homes. I think that that has to be redefined.
Yeah, yeah, really.
Because what Kevin Samuels is talking about when he says single family homes, he's talking about fathers not being in the picture. So even if there is a healthy step parent in the picture, he definitely draws the line of delineation and says, okay, his in his mind, Kevin Samuels really has a problem with emotional maturation. So in his mind, a step parent, a father who is not the naturalized parent of a child, has no authority over a child, as if we're in a country where the rate of kids in foster care and on adoptions agencies outweigh the populations of people with natural children. I don't think that that's a reality that maybe you guys know or he knows at all. Or maybe that's a statistic that he just doesn't really want to look at. So there are lots of people who are being raised by very, very healthy co-parent systems and um primary parent systems, but those kids are all adopted and both parents are the adoptive parents. And that showed for me in that last, either the last video that he did or another segment he did where he asked the woman, were you raised in a two-parent home? And she's like, well, yes and no. He's like, what you mean yes or no? You got two parents or you don't? And she was like, well, I had my mom remarried, and to my stepdad, I think was 2 years after she divorced the original dad, the bio dad. And he was like, well, that means you came up in a one parent home. The fuck do you mean? Like, it's two parents there. They're still married to this day. Like, and she was a kid, 8 years old. Like, I just, some of his ideals, they just, so just because you are a bonus parent or a step parent, whatever you guys refer to it to, doesn't mean that you're less worthy or less of a valuable parent in the life of that child that you're responsible for raising. And the first thing, this is another thing that I'm going to go ahead and say before we end the show today. The other thing that made me very uncomfortable with Kevin Samuels is that the one thing that he jumped to automatically in the conversation with the young lady that was 31 with the 10-year-old daughter,
Hmm.
the the only thing that he could think of when he asked her, okay, well, I'm an older man, and if I get in a relationship with a single woman, like, what you got to offer me? Like, are you gonna let him discipline your daughter? And she was like, my husband, yeah. And he was like, okay, so what about when your daughter comes home and says that he did XYZ to me? What the fuck do you mean XYZ?
Yeah, yeah,
If
that's
that's the
crazy.
first thing that jumps to your mind, and you're a guy saying that you're searching for these young women to date, that's disgusting.
I Yeah, that had blew my mind when he said that. Because
I told
in
y'all
other
he
words,
disgusting.
he insinuated, what if the one single father molests your daughter?
Exactly.
Would you say something about that? How would you feel
Exactly.
about that?
Right, because he's saying that that's automatically going to happen though. And the reality is that doesn't happen. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't happen more often than not. I've seen more of these sexual abuse cases. It's been the primary father, the bio dad. I mean, in very sparse cases, we see it's the boyfriend, not the husband of the mom, but the boyfriend of the mom. Um, but in many cases, when sexual abuse is a factor in young girls, it's either the aunts, the uncles, the grandfather, which is the father of the mother, or the bio dad. It's typically not the stepdad.
Hmm.
That's in very rare cases. So I don't know what stats he's pulling up or what he's looking at, but that ain't it. I know.
Or it could have been a certain reality that he
Miss
experienced.
Sandy's comment, bring her comment back up. I can't see that small stuff down there. Says, like Kevin Samuel says, women create way more. Not that one. Go down. Being a stepfather is a thankless job. You think so? Well, I don't
Well,
know.
for my
Mike
experience
said I
being
used to be a stepdad and hated it.
Yeah, for my experience of being a current stepdad, it's a very thankful job. It's to me, it's very
Right.
rewarding to me. But it depends on one perception about it too. If you're trying to look for getting recognition of doing a job of being a parent, then there's something wrong with your mentality to begin with in the first place.
I agree with that because in that case, it's a thankless job to be a parent. But on the days that I honor mothers and fathers and things like that, I definitely see, you know, and we have a blended family, so there are different several moving parts with us. So I feel like my kids are definitely thankful, the older ones, the younger ones, of everybody in the system, and everybody is one. Like all parents are one, and they're quite functional in their lives, the adult ones, So I just feel like, to each his own, but for the most part, what I see professionally is that there are several people who are co-parents, step parents, adoptive parents, and they're all equally enjoying that job. So he says, can you explain the benefits of dating a baby mama? Of what do you mean? Dating the
Um,
same person's baby mama, or somebody
no,
else
that
being a baby mama of someone else?
yeah, they talk about what's the benefit of dating a woman who already have a child that is not your own.
Um, the same benefits of dating any other woman, depending on what you're dating a woman for. And Mike, I have a question for you. Um, in your experience, what exactly did you hate about being a stepfather? Do you think black men deserves father? He just picking what comments he want.
Hmm. So Liz,
Obviously,
yep,
I
yeah,
feel
I've
like
been.
there are several comments I haven't seen because I'm like over here and I can't see nothing over there. It's all tiny. Uh,
Yeah, men deserve Father's Day just like women deserve Mother's Day.
yeah. Are you
Not just black men, but just men. Period.
husbands, baby mamas? Husbands, baby mamas. So I'm the only mother in my system. So I mean, my second husband, he has a baby mama, and we're good. Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. So that was for me, right?
I guess so.
I don't know. But Miss Sandy, can you give me um was the urban therapist right, the official urban therapist, when he said that your question relates to dating a woman that has kids by somebody else? I want to make sure I answered your question appropriately. Because the benefits when you're dating someone, I think that oftentimes we look at superficial components, right? And so if you're looking at superficial components, that's what contributes to the high divorce rate. Like the vast majority of couples that come to me for therapy as a result of court involvement, because in the state of Georgia, if there are kids born of the marriage, it's mandated that you go through parenting classes, 6 months therapy, and things like that. So they have to come, right? I hate mandated clients. It's I just hate for people to feel forced to be in a therapeutic context. You know what I mean? I really hate that. But typically what I notice is that, and what they tell me is that, man, I really do feel like I needed this. So, maybe the stars were in alignment. I'm glad that we came your way. And oftentimes they end up staying together. They don't even go through the divorce. So I don't know why. I think I'm not qualified to help people discern to divorce. if that's the grand plan. But um I help people to see the realities to what make relationships work. Because oftentimes the thing that I notice is incongruent and leads to divorce is misaligned ideas about what marriage is supposed to be and what it means and what it looks like. Many people think that this piece of paper, when you get married, has a lot of validity and it's holding you to some crazy standard that you made commitments to, and you don't even remember what your vows were. That was interesting to me. The vast majority of the clients, when I did my because I do outcome studies over the course of my people in therapy, the vast majority of people had no idea what vows they took. I'm like, damn, you could have opened the Bible and found it. Google is here. You know what I mean? What
Hmm.
vows did you take? Did you write personal vows? None of that. Nobody's doing any of that. So if you don't know what you commit to, if you have no idea what you've stepped into a relationship and defined as the boundaries or the regulatory authority for your relationship, you're going to get divorced. Period. It's no way around it, because you don't have an idea of what people not only are expecting of you, but you don't know what's required to be in the marriage. So the thing about old school marriages where people used to be just put together is at least they knew what was required. The women were suited, booted, vetted to be courted because they knew what would be required of them as a role in a marriage as a woman. Same thing for men. Um, and now that's the thing that's incongruent. So the preparedness that people have to go into relationships is it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just not there. Um, so let's see. Why would a man take on the responsibility of another man's child if he can date a woman without a child?
I would like to address this question.
Okay.
Seems pretty interesting. Well, there could be several reasons why men would do that. First of all, the obvious reason is because if you are trying to marry that woman, then that's the whole point of you being a parent. Period. That's because the child is not your one biological seed. That doesn't disqualify you for being a parent. Period. That's the first part of it. Another reason is because let's say for example the man is incapable of having children for whatever reason. That could be another reason why a man will take on the role of being a father with a child that doesn't belong. Another reason is let's say for example that woman or that man the child comes out of a foster care system or whatever. That's another person's child, so you take on the role of being a parent. So at the end of the day, it all deals with you being a responsible parent. So that would be the reason why. Now, the reason why I'm addressing this because I know this is a lot of what the rhetoric that Kevin Samuels preaches about, and a lot of it I don't agree with. I think this notion is very irresponsible, and it also prevents us as that's being in the black community period, this little rhetoric right here, why it's irresponsible. It takes the whole notion of us being a village to, to raise a child. It just take the whole concept out of that, and to make you become more selfish than anything, too.
And you know what? I want to add to that because and I normally don't do too much self-disclosure because like, some of my clients might go back and read this and, see this stuff and all that good stuff. But I will speak to an experience that my last husband and I had when we were young in our marriage, right? And we had a kid who was dropped off at my doorstep literally with a backpack with nothing but his birth certificate, social security card, and that's it. Uh oh. There was a spiral notebook. One spiral notebook, okay? And this kid was 10 years old. 10 years old. And he was a kid of a guy that I dated years back between my first marriage and my second marriage, right? And the guy, my ex, like it's a dude I only dated, and we went on literally 2 dates total. And the first date was kind of like conversation, and I knew something was up, right? I knew something wasn't right. And then so it took him a while to get me on the second date, maybe like 5 months or so. And then by the time we went on that date, that was more of a date about dismissal. So yeah, I'm not really interested, and kind of decided to go a different route. Been months. I wasn't returning your calls. I didn't order.
Hmm.
I thought you understood that in my culture, that means I'm disinterested. So I'm sorry, but I want to make sure that I make it really clear now. I can verbalize it, right? So I was dismissing him, and that was pretty much it. Now, he continued to stalk me like on social media and stuff like that. And my husband and I, we met. We probably got married maybe like 4 months after we met, I think, 5 months, something like that. Um, I know it was in a shorter span of time, you know, after he and I met each other. We had gotten engaged and then got married. But anyway, this particular guy dropped his kid off at our door. And we had been married maybe a couple of years. I don't know, 3 years or so. 4 or 5. I don't know, something around in there. But this dude dropped this kid off. And I'm a whole doctor. Like I was a practicing MD then. I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, what we doing? Like, I can't, I don't even know how do you even do this? How do you handle this? Because if I call defects, I have to make the report here, like against me, and I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and then my husband, he was just like, you know what? Like sitting down talking to the kid and stuff, and he was just like, well, I went and I talked to him, and he was just like, his dad just told him to give us this note. And he told him that you'll be good, you'll be better suited to be with her. Her is me, right? And I'm out here freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God, call somebody, get anybody. Like, what I'm not gonna do, I'm not having any kids. Because I think that I made it really clear. Like, I never wanted kids. I never ever, you know. And I had a lot of kids, right? But I never wanted to be a mom. Okay. So for me, culturally speaking, it's really important that the woman yield and submit fully to her husband. So what that looks like is if he wants to have up 10 kids, you're just going to have them because that's just what it is. But for me, I'm not going to just go out here and just become somebody's mom. We're not doing that. So I remember him coming to me, and I will never forget the look, the expression that was on my husband's face, and he was just like, "We got to do this." I was like, "I don't know what you mean by we." So, you gonna do what you got to do? Let me know how that works out for you. I'm not lying. Like in my mind, and I was so nervous, and I had so many thoughts and things like that, and literally I was like, well, okay, I mean, it's probably just going to be a couple of days because like nobody leaves their kid at somebody else's door, right? Like we're not a hospital or receiving facility. Like, he'll be back, did you see the car? Did you see do you know your dad's plate number? Like, this is me, okay? And like he was just, the kid was just like, oh, you're just so nice and you're so pretty. Like, I never had a mom before, and that broke my heart.
Mm.
That it probably peeled all my hard layers because I was a medical doctor in the military, and I had a very difficult assignment in the military, and I think that really made me harder than most mothers, especially at that stage in my life. But it just did something to me. And so we took that kid, and I swear in my mind, I was like, this man is going to come back because I don't know how he found my address in the first place. Like, he's going to come back for his kid because people come back for their kids. I remember having the conversation every night with my husband, like, he's going to come back, right? Like, he's a black dude. Y'all don't do that, right? Like, nobody drops their kids off. So what about your mom? How's your mom? What you said you never had a mom. You don't remember like ever having a mom? Like, but did she die giving birth to you? Like, what we talking? You know what I mean? Like, because I was literally trying to find every way out of having to take care of this child because it got expensive. Okay, I don't know how many of you have ever cared for a child medically that didn't have insurance and obviously wasn't your kid. So can't put your kid, he's not your kid, so you can't put your kid, it's a person that's not your kid on your insurance. So we had to go through several court cases. We had to I just don't, it was the most difficult thing in my life, but I have never done something so selfless in my life. And I raised this child until he was 18, and he's still very much my child. So when people talk to me about why would a man raise a child that's not his child, I want to know what human part of you really thinks relationships, real relationships between men and women, not boys and girls, but between men and women, mature beings thrive off of that mindset, because the young minds of human beings have to be cultivated and shaped by healthy minds. So if that is your mindset, I am a person very similar to Kevin Samuels. I'm pushing you away from people with kids because you don't deserve to be with a person with children. You don't. If that's your mindset, you're not mature enough. And see, in life, experience, exposure, it will mature you, it will teach you, it will prepare you, it will make you worthy. But right now, you're not worthy. And you have to be honest with yourself. We had a young man on this show before who was saying the same thing. He said, um, I don't date women with kids. You remember that one?
I remember.
You don't get any strikes against you over here. Because the reality is, if that's what you do, I don't have a problem with that, but thank you for making it very clear. The women who date you, if they choose to date you and you're a man who has kids, but your mindset is you only dated that woman because she didn't have kids. So what about all the healthy competition amongst the women with kids when you become more mature? Because the reality is, when you become a more mature man and you realize that now myself with our kid is now the same as that woman with a child, we're going to have problems. It's just understanding the basic algorithm of maturity, you know. And our bonus kid, nobody ever knew him different than the rest of the children. They probably were like, oh, he's a little darker. That's about it. But at the end of the day, that's it. You wouldn't know, you wouldn't be able to tell which kid he is. So I think that people who are the human part of them, right, is matured enough for them to move into a different place and different position as adults in life. I think they move different. We think different. And I'm a person who believes that I want to help other people position themselves differently so that they can move differently in society and society can see you differently. Because the reality is, if you don't mature out of those very childish mindsets, your whole worldview won't have an opportunity to expand before your life is over. Because life will
Mm.
only yield you so many opportunities to mature, and it'll
Yeah,
continue to grow, and eventually you will die. If that's
yeah,
without
absolutely.
knowledge, that's on you. You understand? Your maturation is your choice. Let's go back and look at some of
Mm.
these.
Yeah, that the one that Mike talked about the one the single mothers. Let me show you a different perspective about that too. That you need to consider. Right. Um, Statistically, most single mothers they normally will have kids with a man with the whole intent of being married to that man. Statistically, but sometimes they end up matching up with dudes who don't have the intention of marrying them. All it is just one of them type of sexual encounters, and it just happens that way. Now, what ended up happening with that mother is that she ended up developing a certain type of trauma within herself, thinking that, man, I done had this experience with this man, and I don't want to have this experience no more with other men. So therefore, I don't want to have children no more. That's to protect or safeguard myself. So that's in most cases that's the reason why she be in that space, saying that she don't want to have no other children by another dude. But however, if it do, once she get over that traumatic experience and she end up meeting a dude with that expectation that he want to have kids, and he actually show her that expectation that, hey, I'm into you, and we are going to be married and actually marry her, her whole mentality would change about that. But she just don't want to be a two-time baby mom. And that's
Yeah,
the
because
reason why her mentality is like that.
yeah, it comes with maturation. So of course, no woman has the intent to be a mother. I would hope that no woman has the intent to be a mother without being married. Now, does it mean that lots of women become moms without being married? Yeah. But I think that we have to redefine what marriage is, right? And so I think that a lot of people are looking at the relationship of Nick Cannon and these women that are having his kids right now. And a lot of people are saying things like, well, you know what? They don't have a ring. They don't have a ring. They have a lot of an agreement that looks very much like a marriage. And their
Hmm.
agreement is
Yeah.
more more valuable than what most of you guys' marriage certificates are worth. That's the reality. I'm just putting it out there because you guys got, I do my vetting very seriously. And he's making sure that these women are taken care of. So you can't say the same thing about what that piece of paper means in somebody's filings in somebody's court that you paid money. You
Hmm.
said I'd rather start my own family than take care of another man's child. Your anecdotal, I think, experience doesn't make dating a single mother beneficial for men. So dating a woman with or without kids is not with or without benefit based on the fact that she has kids. I think that that's the point we're making.
Hmm.
Um, Having the misconception that it does is fine if that's what you want your experiences to be shaped on. So I'm saying the overarching pragmatics. That's what makes sense, right? When it comes to selecting an intimate partner, have nothing to do with how many children they currently have. It has more to do with what they expect down the line. So if they want to have more kids, is more of an important question to ask rather than do you currently have children?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what do you want our life to look like together? Is more of an important question to ask than how many kids you have. What are your values, your morals, and your ethics is a more important question to ask than how many kids you have. I can name a shitload of things that are more important than how many kids a single mother has. And I think we have to redefine what single mother looks like too, because a lot of people say
Hmm.
single mom, but she's not a single mom because the father is paying child support and picking up the kid, spending his time with his child, attenuating to the child's psychosocial conditioning and things like that. So she's not a single parent.
Exactly.
Society has this misconceived notion that everybody's the same, and it's not. But so, but that's it. And you can definitely maintain that position. If you're a person who does not want to have kids don't want to be in a relationship with a person that has kids, I think I already said I encourage you to only date people without kids. And I hope that works out for you in the grand scheme of things, especially if that's the only thing that you're looking at. I would hope that you would be smart enough to look at the value system though. You said her values can't be that up to par if she's a baby mama. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, yeah, that's sure. Like, because at the end of the day, everyone will make certain choices that the social norm either agree or disagree with. Even yourself, for that matter. It may be a choice that you don't make, where the social norm necessarily agree or disagree with, but that doesn't devalue you as a person.
Exactly. And social norms are not always the best practices. So just because
Hmm.
a thing is normalized doesn't mean that that's the best practice for you. Overeating is normalizing. Okay, it's normalized.
Yep.
Obesity is normalized. And we talked about that earlier. That doesn't mean that that's the best thing for you. Not exercising is normalized. That doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. Clubbing is normalized. Alcoholism is normalized. But it doesn't mean that it's the best practice for you to live a fulfilled life. So I think that you have to be intelligent enough to understand that the value systems of a person doesn't have anything to do with them being a baby mama or not. Now, does that mean that does that mean that all people who are actual single mothers or co-parent systems independently when you see them, does that mean that all of them are functional in their capacity? Of course not. I see a lot of things, especially in our community of people, that are very disturbing. And sometimes I have no idea how those women ended up having primary custody of those children. No idea. But I think it's really important to take into consideration that these people who Nick Cannon have decided to have his kids, right? He's allowed the elements to decide that he's going to have children with these kids, and he stepped into a place of positioning himself in empowerment and in leadership for those children. And I think that he's shown a full on 12 years of consistency in that role. Okay. I think that that kind of guy changes what it means to become a baby mama, if that's what you guys want to call these ladies. I think they're much better positioned. Good night, Jermaine. They're much more better positioned than many married women. I'm just gonna say that. So I'm gonna end the show on that note. Continue to drop your jewels, your gems of insight. Let me know what your particular perceptions are. If you guys feel like this guy is extremely irresponsible out here making baby mamas of these women, let me know. If you feel like Kevin Samuels is right, and there is no value in a woman that has kids, then let me know. If you feel like her values decrease because she has a kid, I don't know. Whatever it is, drop your perceptions. Do you think that Black culture has a tendency of normalizing and pushing baby mamas and baby daddies and not taking accountability for it? I think that that's a good question to ask. Good night, and you are very welcome. So tell them where to find you, official urban therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everyone for tuning in this evening versus and this morning. We're in the morning time now. I am the official urban therapist. You can find me on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. What else I'm on? On Spotify, I think. Yeah,
You're on
Spotify.
Spotify now. I told you we got to link up. I'm gonna get
Yeah,
you.
I keep forgetting. I keep
I'm gonna
forgetting.
get you. I'm gonna get you some real money when it comes to the podcast. That's my specialty, guys. So, but good night, you guys. And Mike B said Kevin Samuels is right. Oh God, it's gonna be a rough night. It's a rough night. Good night to you.
Hey, appreciate everybody participation on the chat too.
Yeah.
Y'all cool.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. You guys are amazing. It's been a great show, though longer than I anticipated. So that's all I got. And later days, don't go out there and make no babies irresponsibly and then don't show up to take care of them, okay?
And shout out to the producer too.
No. We're gonna redact that last part. But that's all I got, you guys. See you guys later. Bye.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. Don't try it good in me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.